our work session to order. I want to thank everybody for being here. I believe it's truly the largest crowd ever for a work session. We want to start off with an invocation by Mr. Shad Faulkner.
Let's all bow our heads if you would. Father, we are thankful. Lord, we are grateful. Lord, that you are God. We're thankful for who you are and what you are, what you know. Lord, how gracious you are to us and how merciful you are to us. Lord, we're thankful, God, for the rain that you sent our way. Lord, we're thankful, God, for the sunshine. Lord, we are thankful for each and every person that come out here tonight. Lord, citizens that are concerned about the goings-on in the community. God, with this great host of people, we would ask you, Lord, that you would allow us to be able to conduct this meeting in an orderly fashion. And Lord, such a way that would bring honor and glory unto you. Lord, now as we turn our sights towards this meeting that we're about to go into, Lord, we pray that you would be with this mayor and this council. Anyone that will participate in the goings-on in this meeting, Lord, we pray, God, first of all, that your will might be done. And Lord, if there be anything brought up that would be against your will, God, we pray that right now you cast it as far as east is from the west in our hearts and in our minds. But most of all, Lord, we just want to do all that would honor and glorify you. Lord, now we pray for the wisdom and the knowledge to conduct business in such a manner, Lord, that be good, Lord, for the citizens of the city of Cumming and for South County, Lord, and again, just to honor and glorify your name. Lead, God, direct us in all these things, and Lord, we do thank you, and Lord, we do love you. Amen.
Amen. Amen. If we pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We would like to recognize Miss Senior Georgia from 2017, Miss Sandra Kaminsky, being with us today. As far as the agenda in front of you, we need to strike under administration, number 6, opioid crisis resolution. That's going to be discussed in executive session due to the legal aspect of it. And there are no other changes. We'll have a motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
Please vote by raising your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Item 5, consider adoption of the following meeting minutes. A, the regular council meeting on February the 20th, 2018. I have a motion.
Motion to adopt.
Second, please vote by raising your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Next, item B, executive session meeting February 20th, 2018. I have a motion, we adopt the minutes. Second by Chad. All vote by raising your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Item 6, acknowledgements, proclamations, resolutions, there are none. Item 7, old business, there is none. Item 8, new business, Cumming Playhouse for South County Academy of Performing Arts. I'd say a lot of people are here tonight for that reason. I want to first off by saying that we're charged with the responsibility of being good stewards with the city's money. And after looking over the budgets, you can see on the screen up there that since inception, the Playhouse has lost almost $2 million, and it's been losing an average of, call it $149,000 a year. I was approached a couple of weeks ago by the Academy of Performing Arts with a proposal to rent the property as far as putting shows on. That would, the proposal on the table would move us from losing money annually to making money, covering the expenses of power and maintenance and all that. So the lady with that business is here to make a proposal for the council's consideration. So if Ms. Canada would give us your pitch.
Hi, thank you so much for letting me speak to you tonight. My name's Leanne Kennedy, and I have been a Forsyth County resident for the past 15 years. And just a few years ago, 5 years ago, I opened Forsyth Academy of Performing Arts just across the way behind the Cumming Playhouse, behind the fairgrounds. And when I opened that, I did it because I was, when I wrote the business plan, I was a single mom teaching voice lessons out of my basement, and terrified. And I kept getting asked the question, well, where can my kids go to do a show? Where can my kids go to take a class? And locally, I didn't have a lot of answers that were close to the city center for them. So flash forward a couple of years, and in 2013 we opened. We had 35 kids when we opened. Now today we have over 400 kids every single week coming in and out of the doors in just 5 years. So over the last 24 hours or so, there's been a lot of misinformation about this whole thing, about me personally. It's been false and honestly unkind. And so I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself to assure you that I'm not those things. So quickly, first of all, I will say that one of the things that was shared was that Mayor Brummelow's wife and I are best friends. And I just, with all due respect, I don't know her first name, so I apologize for that. And there's been things about how much money my business makes, and I mean, my CPA hasn't even finished my taxes this year, so there's just been a lot of misinformation. So essentially, my background is in the performing arts. This is what I've done my entire life. I started in Cumming 15 years ago when we moved here. I've worked at the Holly in Dahlonega. I've worked at the Playhouse. I've worked at schools all over the area. And I've taught tons and tons of voice lessons, and then opening FAPA was sort of the most exciting thing that I learned that I loved being a part of that and investing in the community in that way. In addition to that, I have a lot of interest in contributing to the community. I speak a lot to local colleges and universities. I work with their entrepreneurship programs. I also work with the Georgia High School Musical Theater Awards, which is an Emmy-nominated television show celebrating the high school performing arts in our state. So my background is all of this with that entrepreneur piece thrown in. So what I'm proposing for you, and you guys have, I think, a little brochure that I printed for you just to have something so that I can kind of walk you through it. The Playhouse is a beautiful space, and it's a treasure for our community, and nothing that I propose that happens there would be of detriment to that. You can see all of these kids here today and how passionate they are about the arts and about what we're about. I believe in the collaboration of the arts. There's no part of me that believes that there's only a little bit of pie. I believe that there's enough pie for everybody. And I believe that there's nothing about this that has to feel exclusive. Nothing about it needs to feel exclusive. So if you all don't hear anything else I say tonight, please hear that. Regardless of how this goes, I'm for all of us. I'm for all of the arts. I'm for the big, giant mess that happened on Facebook today because it showed how passionately we all feel about the arts in our community. So if you don't hear anything else, hear that. So my plan for the Playhouse is if we're allowed to lease that space, we would begin producing in-house work there. We begin producing in-house community theater there. And we would also be open to all of the other groups that have been a part of the Playhouse in the past. We don't want to change the history. We just want to help it become a fiscally responsible building to take that $2 million off of the city's losses. And I think we've demonstrated that my business has demonstrated that we can run fiscally responsibly, and that we're a safe bet. So to quickly just sort of walk you through this, my goal for the Playhouse is to provide a home for quality, entertaining, and engaging entertaining performances that bring the community together. And that's the whole thing. As a teacher, my guiding light is always do what's in the best interest of the children, and my guiding light for the Playhouse would be to always do what's in the best interest of the community. So understand that that's my mindset. We would do that through building relationships and developing local talent, which there is in spades in this room. I would like to see the Playhouse become a true destination for our city. I would love to see that people come in on a Friday night, they're spending money in either the restaurant in the Playhouse or they're spending money at Dairy Queen, but they're coming into the city center to be a part of what I know that you guys are hoping to grow our city center to be. And I want it to drive community involvement. I want to involve as much of the community in this as I can. Even the people in this room that are skeptical of what I'm offering, I've worked with so many of you, and I care about you and I care about our community, and that's what I want to see happen with this. To give you a snapshot of Forsyth Academy of Performing Arts, we sold 6,000 seats in our tiny little theater just last year alone, because we have so many children involved and so much going on. And the next step of that for us is to be able to offer programming for the adults in the community, which is also what we would be driving at the Playhouse. I kind of gave you a sort of mock 2018 season just so that you could sort of see where my brain is at as far as what we at FAPA would like to offer. We already have a production of Grease in the works, which I think would be a great, phenomenal contribution to the community. I think that's something people will come out to see. We have an Alice in Wonderland, which is actually a children's theater production. I think that's amazing. I think seeing the kids on that stage and seeing them have the opportunity to perform in that space is such a treasure. Working is a really beautiful musical that I have proposed on this calendar that is a little off the beaten path, but it's made up of really great music, really accessible music from songwriters like James Taylor. Nonsense and Little Shop of Horrors were two of the first productions that the Playhouse they were early in the Playhouse's memory as far as when the renovations finished and we started seeing work go in there. And I thought it would be fun to bring those back this year as sort of a throwback. Junie B. Jones and James and the Giant Peach is on your calendar because those are the competition troops at FAPA. And I think it would be amazing to see the best of our best having the opportunity to perform on that stage. And there's nothing that we all enjoy more than seeing those bright, engaging, exciting musicals filled with kids. And then finally, Annie was already on the calendar, and I think that's a fantastic addition to the season at the Playhouse. I think that absolutely should be produced. I think it's a beautiful show. It involves kids and adults. To give you sort of a ballpark as well, if you flip to that last page, my first goal, if I were to get to sign a lease with the city for this space, is to decrease the ticket prices. I want all of these people to be able to come and enjoy a show at the Playhouse that's not nearly $30 a ticket. And I think that the benefit of having a private organization that's handling that is that we can do that. This $150,000 a year loss is with $30 ticket sales. I don't think the market will bear going any higher to try and accommodate that loss. So by privatizing that element of it, we already are covering the overhead. We already have economy of scale because we've got the staff in place already. We've got the ticketing systems, and all those things are in place already. So we're able to just come in and start producing good theater at a much decreased rate so that a family of four can come to see a show, certainly for less than $100. It's important to me that we're very careful about show selection and making sure that everything is family friendly and that it's appropriate for our students to be able to come and see and also participate in. I also want to, as soon as possible, announce auditions. That would be on my goal list for upcoming shows, and also deciding whether, obviously I can't speak to the elephant in the room of the contracts that already exist with the city, because I don't know what those say, and I haven't read them. However, I would love to incorporate as many people as possible in all of these productions and in all of these events. So also communicating directly with the community organizations that have had a home in the Playhouse, like the Sounds of Sawney Band and the Cumming Playhouse Singers. All of those places, or all of those organizations still need a home, and I would certainly never want them to not have a home there. That's what it's for. So let us help market that. Let us help get the word out about these amazing organizations and these groups of adults and kids that are participating in great things in the community. I would love to see a concert season in there. We've got some really amazing local musical artists, singers, songwriters, those kinds of things, and I would love to see a consistent concert series used in that space. I have dreams of working with TAMS to create dinner theater events where you come, have dinner, and see a show, and it's a package deal. Obviously, I haven't talked to him about that yet, but I'm an entrepreneur, so I think about these things. And then lastly, I want to develop relationships with the businesses in town. I want to advertise for them. I want to put them in our programs. We sell a lot of ads in our programs at FAPA because businesses see the value in getting in front of families' eyes. So that's a huge opportunity for partnership with the local businesses and other organizations to be able to offer that as an opportunity. Because as you can see, there's plenty of people who really desperately care about the arts in our community, and I'm happy to be a voice for that. I'm happy to be a point place for that, and I'm happy to be a good steward of that building and what it means to our community and what the arts mean to our community. Okay, do you have questions for me?
Anybody got any questions?
You don't have a speaker. I have somebody that wants to speak too.
Okay, you don't have any questions?
No, not really.
Okay, so I guess I've got a few questions.
Okay.
Like these events that are going, like Greece, it's going for a month. Is that going for 4 full weeks?
No, it wouldn't. It would go for probably 2 weeks. Right now I have Greece booked to go either at FAPA or if we sign a lease for the Playhouse. It's booked for 2 weeks. We have to pay for rights based on the number of times you perform. So I've booked it for 2 weeks. So that leaves room for other things to be going on.
Right. So are you open to other events that were already scheduled
Absolutely.
or normal
Absolutely.
to filling in?
What's the
Well, you
difference?
can put up a thing with me.
What's the difference
We're
in,
not talking about it at the same time, Linda. We're talking about,
No regular period.
in what you're proposing and what's going on now?
That's a great question. So what happens now is a theater company, if we just take the theater aspect of it, not the concerts or music, a theater company now makes an agreement with the city to come in and do a production. And that agreement with the city, the producer takes on the responsibility of securing the rights, paying for the, sets and costumes and props and all those, the scripts, all those expenses. And then at the end of the thing, the ticket income is split in half. Half goes to the producer and half goes to the city. So that's the current agreement. What we're saying is, let us take the overhead. Let us take the overhead and we'll facilitate the agreements. We'll take the $150,000 off the plate and we'll just pay you a lease income every month.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I was also would like to know artistically,
Yeah.
what's the difference in what's going on now and what you're proposing?
I think, boy, that's a loaded question. I think that the difference would be having a clear point of vision as opposed to different groups coming in. Because there are some beautiful things that happen at the Playhouse, and there have been some not so beautiful things. And I think to have a clear point of vision for artistically what that space should be, I think will elevate all of it to a different level. Does that answer your question?
I have a question.
Sure.
Most of this 200,000, the majority of it is repairs. You're gonna pay less than $40,000 for the Playhouse. Are you gonna do the repairs?
Well,
If not, we're gonna have the same loss.
no, where are the repairs?
So,
Right here's all the documents. Hang on, I'll show you right here. Let's go to 2000, well, that's only 2 months of 2018. 2017, repairs and maintenance, $21,531.56.
Well, this is what Linda heard from you, and let her talk.
That's fine. Here's all the audited numbers right here.
I don't know, I just wouldn't want to.
That's
Each department takes so much of the,
in 2016, repairs and maintenance, $25,223.09.
Let me make a suggestion. Do we have any more questions for Ms. Kennedy?
Kennedy.
I have a question.
Sure.
What's your percentages to your shows with adults being in the shows versus kids being in the shows?
That's a great question. We have not run consistent adult community theater in my space to be able to directly answer that question. I can tell you that we sell out 100% everything we do with students. We have 100 seats, so it's smaller. But I can also tell you that most of these kids would tell you that their friends have never seen them in a show because it sells out so fast. Their friends don't get to see it, only the parents and grandparents, make it. I've produced several shows at the Playhouse in the past. I can tell you that year over year, this is the best example I can give you, especially in regards to the ticket prices. Year over year, in 1 year, we produced a show, Oklahoma. We sold out almost every single night. It was the same time slot year to year. That year, I had a benefactor, essentially, who helped cover ticket costs for people who could not afford the $27 tickets. The next year, I produced a show called Annie, Get Your Gun, and I didn't have that same benefactor because he was in the cast the first year and he was out of town the second year, and didn't audition. And that year, we sold about 70% of the show. So to me, that's a very clear differentiator. Our artistic staff was the same. I think the quality of the show was every bit the same, but it's just the tickets are so expensive to come into town.
were there any adults in that show?
Yes, ma'am, they were all adults.
And Annie, get your gun.
Yes, ma'am.
All adults. not
Yes,
just
ma'am.
students.
I'm sorry, there were 3 kids in it. There's 3 students in that show, but the rest of them are all adults. Yeah.
Good to know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Hey.
I
I'm
don't think that we're allowed, I'm not.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have to keep order in our structure.
I'm happy to talk with you afterwards, though.
Okay, sure.
Anybody else got any questions for Ms. Kennedy?
You said, in regards to the current schedule of events that are going on for this year at the Playhouse now, you don't know their contracts if this did come about. How do you envision that working possibly? Let's say, I don't really know how to word it, but how do you see that working? Putting them in with what you have on your schedule already, are you just gonna push them to the side, or I guess it depends on their contracts, and you're gonna.
I mean,
if
those
the
contracts.
won't allow them to move. Are you willing to move your?
So the
slide
contracts
performance?
right now are with the city. And I don't know how to honor a contract directly with the city. I don't know that that's, do you know what I'm saying? Because they signed a contract with the city over a space. So my feelings on that are that we'll sit down with each individual production company and we'll figure it out and we'll sort through it. The balance for them is gonna realize that their income may go down because the ticket prices need to adjust. There needs to be a balance of that. So that may preclude, there may be organizations that say it's not worth it for us. But I'm willing to sit down with anybody that's got a contract. We may all have to fudge a little. We may all have to move a week here, a week there. But again, everything I just gave you in that book, nothing is set in stone. The only thing that's been paid for is grease. And other than that, it's all just ideas and suggestions. It's all flexible.
Well, where you've paid for grease, that's irrespective of if you use the Playhouse or not.
Correct.
That's you
That
buying
show's
the rights
happening.
for you to put it on no matter where,
Correct.
so.
Why would you be interested in a 85-seat auditorium for yours?
It's 185 seats or
Yeah.
183
Yeah,
seats.
yeah.
Because just as I mentioned, we sell out everything we ever do with 120 seats. And so being able to have those extra seats, and frankly, being able to have a nice facility. I'm in a metal building over behind the Playhouse, an industrial building. It was a gym, a CrossFit gym. It had a boxing ring in it when I took lease of it, and we built a theater ourselves.
Have you seen our theater?
Yes, sir. I've produced several plays there.
Do you realize how expensive those chairs and stuff are in there, that seating?
Yes, sir. I do.
Now, that's expensive to keep up.
Yes, sir. And it's a treasure. It's a historic treasure, and I respect that.
Yeah,
100%.
because people bought those seats.
Yes, sir.
They were donated,
Yes, sir.
each person.
Anything further from her? Nobody? Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah. Well, let's discuss this and then discuss,
Explain how this.
it's a separate
how this-
issue.
How this proposal or any proposal would change the budget.
Well, it may not change the budget, but it'll certainly change the theater.
I'm asking about the budget first.
Okay, so let's
That's
take,
about the theater and.
Well, she's gonna give you $40,000 for
uh, all right, so, no, so what the proposal is, what she has proposed is $31.50, I believe, per month, but also taking care of the cleaning that we're paying $1,200 a month for now. So that totals actually $4,350. Difference to us. So where the difference, if we were to lease it out, in 2017, we paid in salary and benefits $159,589. That would go away. Contract services of $70,467 would go away. The legal and accounting would, in essence, I would say, go to zero. Your maintenance and repairs, who knows what that's gonna be, but it's been between 21 and 33,000 for the last 4 years. Advertising and printing, is about 51,000.
her.
That would go away. We're not advertising for the,
Maintenance and repairs with the city would still be.
yeah, I'm saying that would still be on there. We don't know what that number is. It's averaged between 21 and 33 over the last 4 years. You're not paying for the entertainment of 185,000. And all that. Now, the revenue side goes away, but it's, last year was, as you can see up there, was 186,918 loss.
Okay, but why do we not let these other directors of youth organizations make a bid of this?
We're not making a decision here tonight. We're bringing a proposal to you guys.
Okay.
That's the way it works, we bring proposals.
Make a proposal.
If anybody else wants to make a proposal, that's fine. It's all about, we bring things on the agenda and then you guys vote on it. Y'all have the say-so, it's not me. It's for me to bring it up. But
Yeah, I mean, I'd love for anybody and everybody to make a proposal, and we want to set a schedule.
hey, somebody wants to pay us $10,000 a month, that's great.
Let's see, the theater clears, what, 210,000 at least, so they probably could.
It doesn't clear that. It doesn't clear that.
No, it doesn't clear that, but it makes that.
You gotta factor in all the expenses. That's the difference. The revenue side, yes, but you're gonna have expenses.
If you only had the theater rented 8 months, you had 8 productions, the last 3 weeks usually. Hers probably 2 weeks, because it's kids, ours are adults and kids, so it's usually 3 weeks. If you only have the theater 3/4 full, you're going to make, this is half, $110,800. That other $110,800 should pay the expenses. I don't know why we're in the hole. And maybe you wanna change, but I still think that there's a lot of people
Well,
that would like to make a bid at it.
And I'll happily give you all this, or we can make you copies. This is every year. I mean, I didn't print out the detail, but back to 2015. But it's consistent. It's where the issue is with the city running it, and that you can't get over. And it's just the difference of the way the city's running it. We're spending this past year, we had a retiree, or we funded retiree health, so that's a one-time hit, so take that out. We're still spending on 2 employees, and the management company to manage it, we're spending $150,000 on 3 people. That's something that in a private sector position, you're not facing those kind of numbers. That's the biggest, advertising budget could definitely go down. It could change this number going under the same structure we're in now.
Well,
And-
you've had a remarkable product there. I
And,
think that will change.
here's the next part of it. I've spoken with Linda. She's here. She's coming back with a proposal of how she can do things better.
Good.
We're not making a decision tonight. This
Linda's
was
been
all
10
about,
years collecting all that stuff that's on the walls down there. All that
And-
furniture.
and
the
she
piano
does a-
donated.
she does a great job. It's no knock on a person.
We
It's,
just can't afford that.
True, I agree.
And I had more people call, email me today that wanted to submit a proposal. So what I propose,
I've got 2 youth organizations, groups just like this, that want to make.
so what I propose for us is to have the staff put together some sort of proposal package that we can.
But
I
I'd
guess we
still
can
like to
take a
hear
vote on
my
tonight.
part of it for the community theater versus.
here's where I'll go with that. We can have one person speak. We don't wanna turn it into a public,
Right. Who do you
open public meeting, and we'd be here till 3 a.m.
He said one. Which
So.
one y'all want to speak?
If I may, I'm the president of the Cumming Playhouse Singers. Can I say something real quick? Is that okay?
What do you guys, this is what we're trying to, I'm gonna let Miss Linda pick.
I'm not here to,
No, I understand that, but this is just not the setting that we set up for
okay.
public hearing. If we were upstairs, it would be a different situation. Okay.
Is that a no?
Okay, hold on. Sorry, hang on.
We've only got one person identified as speaker, so you're gonna need to take a motion to add those people.
All right.
We don't have a public hearing on here, we need to do something
Okay.
to add a speaker.
I'll
Procedurally,
make a motion to add one speaker to the agenda,
Second.
With a
We'll have a
10-minute
second.
limit.
10-minute limit.
Please.
all right. We got a motion and a second. Please vote by raising your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Mayor Brumbelow, City Council members, and the City of Cumming Associates. My name is Martin Baker, and I will be brief. Since 2010, I have performed as an actor or singer in 17 productions at the historic Cumming Playhouse. I love the historic Cumming Playhouse. It is the only venue in which I have performed. Last week, on February 28th, I retired after a 33-year career as a senior vice president and senior financial advisor with Merrill Lynch. I love the historic Cumming Playhouse so much that I hired an attorney to set up my own production company called MG Baker Productions, LLC. My company is well capitalized and has subsequently signed 2 contracts. The first contract is with Music Theater International to produce Lerner and Lowe's Camelot at the historic Cumming Playhouse. The second is a guaranteed contract with the City of Cumming to perform Camelot July 12th through August 5th at the historic Cumming Playhouse. My production company will be different from many other production companies in that profit will not be the primary objective. My primary objective will be to produce semi-professional theater of the very highest quality. I will be investing a lot of money back into the community by hiring the best staff, the best crew, finding the best actors and musicians, having the best costumes, the best set designs, the best playbills. I expect that Camelot will be a blockbuster for the City of Cumming. Why am I telling you this? Because I have three requests that I think would help the city make the best financial and artistic decisions. Now, request number one, I request that the city of Cumming form an independent ad hoc committee to investigate the best way to manage the historic Cumming Playhouse. In an open meeting forum, the tough questions can be asked and the best solutions can be determined and then forwarded to the mayor and the city council. I will volunteer to be a representative on that committee if you should desire. Request number two is I request that such an ad hoc committee include accounting personnel who understand the difference between cost centers and profit centers. As a businessman, I know the Cumming Playhouse was never asked in the past to be a profit center. It was never asked to be a profit center. Much like the police departments and fire departments are not asked to be profit centers. You spend the money, they lose money, more than you see here. But the police and fire departments are necessary to ensure public safety. The historic Cumming Playhouse is necessary to promote the arts in this city and in this county. My third request is, I think, the most important one of all, and that is I request that any decisions made by the committee, the mayor, the city council, should not be implemented until January 1st, 2019 at the earliest. Why? Well, it's really about money. I know of at least 3 major productions the second half of this year, which will have sellout crowds at $30+ a ticket and will make the city a lot of money. It makes economic sense for the city of Cumming to receive hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue instead of tens of thousands of dollars. You can do the math. Plus, if the city of Cumming were to renege on its signed contracts, it would cost producers like myself, who have already invested thousands of dollars, and will impact dozens of really good people who have poured out their hearts and souls for the Cumming Playhouse. That's all I have to say. I'd be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Will y'all absorb the $1,200 cleaning fee?
Me personally,
No, I meant any producer.
that's an expense. That's an expense. I don't care what you say, there's going to be a loss in those numbers. I mean, you can go do all the numbers you want, but it's a cost center. You take out the revenue of $300,000 or less, it's a cost center. Why does the city council support the Cumming Playhouse? To support the arts. Why does Roswell have a cultural arts center? To support the arts. Why does Beaufort have a beautiful building? To support the arts. And it's something that the money that the city taxpayers pay is willingly spent to add to the quality of life in this city and in this county.
So where I'm lost is the hundreds of thousands of dollars that you speak of are not equating to
A lot of the numbers
the
are-
expenses.
A lot of the numbers, if you look at the real numbers, there's a lot of things in there like royalties paid. Half of those royalties get paid back by the production company, and that's a necessary fee. Each individual show makes the city money. They may not make money in all of the smaller shows, but I can tell you that the big shows pour in a ton of money and are profitable. You can check the numbers, and that's why I suggest an accounting person be on this committee. You can actually go through the numbers and separate cost versus revenue and what's important to the city and what's not. You could shut the Playhouse down and save money. You could shut the fire department down and save money.
But we're not
You can
proposing
shut
shutting the Playhouse
But
down.
those aren't the right things. So I'm not saying I don't know what the best way is to manage the Playhouse. I'm not saying I know the best way. That's for the committee and for you guys to decide. What's the best way? I'm open, it's up to you. But what I'm saying is, let's make sure that people that have signed contracts and sell us here are not, have the rug pulled out from under us when we are already in production. I have over 40 people auditioning next week for Camelot. Most production companies can't find the bodies. We have more than we need, or have to accommodate as many as we possibly can. We've already sold 100 tickets, and we're 3-4 months away.
I don't think anybody's proposing to take any contracts from
No.
anybody. My question is, if with your committee idea, I'm thinking about it, but you're proposing though if there is a better way to do it, to make a change.
Let the
in way
committee
it's
decide,
operated.
exactly.
No, so you're not necessarily against what we're doing here, and considering other options is all it is at this point.
I'm all for it. I don't know what the answer is. I'll
So
be the
you're
first
saying-
one to say, I don't know. That's what the committee decided, and let the committee go
Right.
through, because it takes a lot more thought than 2 hours in an evening to make a decision of this magnitude, and you don't want to mess up anything.
And we're not gonna make a decision tonight, and that's why I'm asking.
Right.
And the other thing is, if a change is made, I mean, even if, just for instance, if this candidate, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
If she was awarded, why do you think you would be out?
Because I have no guarantee that she will honor my dates. I've had that conversation tonight with Ms. Kennedy, and I don't know if I'm going to get squeezed out. I don't know that. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
I've been signed a contract, I've moved forward, I've got people lined up, I've hired a crew, a staff. I spent a lot of money, I'm going to be spending a lot more, and I want to just make sure I have my dates. That's why I suggested, and the people for Annie have their things scheduled, they spend a lot of money. So if you're going to do this, start January 1st, we have a new calendar, new people. To me, it makes all the sense in the world. I don't know which way you want to go, not my call. Not
So
my
what
decision.
is
I have no-
your-
I have no opinion.
What is your split with the city with the contract that you have now?
It's a 50-50 split, and I hope to make a profit. I may not.
So, I mean, my question is, it's obvious that we're losing money. Are you willing to take less of a split so that this helps the city maintain the building?
I've said at the beginning, my goal is not to make a profit. If you can guarantee me that I'll break even, I'll sign any contract you put in front of me.
Well, we'd love to have that same option to break even.
Yeah. This
I
production-
mean, that's all we're,
This production will make the city a ton of money. There's no question about that. Others may not. This will be profitable, and I mean, it's a business decision to let these people move forward that have signed contracts in good faith. And the council should have good faith back to us.
Mr. Baker, I agree with you that we're not, shouldn't be in the business of trying to make money on the playhouse. Arts is a special thing, but I think we should be trying to find better ways to at least hopefully break even in that regard.
I know Linda can go through those numbers, and if you want her to reduce $130,000, she can take $130,000 out of the budget.
And I hope so.
I've already talked to her, she can do it.
Well, then, if that's the case, I
If
think
you want to have her
we're
do
gonna-
that next week, I'm sure it can be done next week. But I'm saying, don't mess with us that have put so much time and effort in our hearts and souls into this. Let us finish the job.
Thank you.
How many people have contracts for the rest of the year? Do you have any idea?
let Linda,
I
let-
have 2.
I know there's a big Christmas show, I know it's a big production show, our
Smoke on
show,
the Mountain.
and a lot of others, Smoke on the Mountain, which has always made a ton of money for the city.
So if we stop Playhouse from doing what it's doing now and give this to Miss Kennedy, then y'all all will be out.
That's not what I
We don't,
said.
I don't know.
That's never what I said.
She's never said that. I don't know. I would hope she would find a place in there, but she's not gonna guarantee
Okay,
that.
looking at her schedule and looking at the schedule that's already there,
Made that up.
it's not really possible to have both.
Just made that up.
Well, I think you need to go first to the end.
My thoughts are if she schedules these things at our other facility for the rest of this year, if we schedule things in this facility the rest of the year, let's keep doing that. Next year, if we're gonna make a change, perfect opportunity to do that.
All right, I'm gonna say something. That playhouse was not built. I'm the only person here that was in on the establishment of that. That playhouse was not built.
You're wrong.
Okay, the only person on the council,
please,
okay?
please, order.
How about that? Will that cover it? It was not built for a profit for the city of Cumming. It was not built for that. We did not establish that for that. It was built for the people to have a place to go and enjoy the arts that came to it.
That's the county definition of a cost center. By definition, it's a cost center, it's not a revenue center. This makes a ton of revenue, or it'd be much worse.
Thank you.
If we can change the budget and cut it, and move on, get through the rest of this year, what you decide next year, I'll live with it, I'm fine with it, whatever you decide next year, but let us finish what we started.
All right.
I would appreciate that.
Thank you. Phil, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I will. Before we move, no, we're moving on. Before we move on to the next subject, anybody that wants to make public comments on this, I've got my business card here. You can send me an email. If you want to send a proposal, you can also send it to this address. Well, you have to.
One of the speakers,
Well,
and I want to know,
we-
since I can't do that tonight, will I have an opportunity to do that in the future? That's what he's.
We
that's what
could,
he's saying.
you can,
Add a, not
you
a
could,
comment card.
you can either comment to him or we can schedule a public hearing. That's why the whole issue, we're not trying to limit people's speech, but the meeting was not set up for that. We had no idea if we'd have two
Okay,
people
so my
here or
question is,
200,
Will there be another meeting at which I could speak?
possibly. I mean, I can't guarantee you that. I'm sure this issue's not gonna die tomorrow, so there's probably a good chance, you know.
I'm going to be giving these cards to Miss Ledford, Crystal Ledford, our public information specialist. If you'll get a card from her, you can send me an email, and we'll be glad to gather all that information and pass it on to the mayor and
Yeah.
council.
I got one
So-
question. How many in this room went to school there?
Sorry, we're moving on. We'll address it at a later date. Next item on the agenda is the Cumming Fairgrounds for South Central High School DECA Fairgrounds Study. Yeah. I know.
Some people care about more than just the drama. I'd like to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Move out. Not conversate here.
My wife come to see all this bullshit tonight. My wife's here tonight. She come to see all this bullshit.
Miss Ledford is going to be outside with the cards so we can go on with the meeting.
It's not hooked up.
I think it's playing a little bit.
Who's behind me except
He's giving me a bullhorn next time.
Don't know. They're heading
I
on.
could hear you, but I couldn't hear you. Will there be a sound system set up when you have another hearing on this issue?
It would be on an agenda that we would post online and on the building.
So is there going to be a follow-up hearing, did you say?
Yeah, well, this was just a presentation by these people. So I can't tell you today if we'll have an open hearing or not, an open meeting or not.
It'll be up to the commission.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm so sorry. This is turned out this way for y'all.
Righty.
I know, but I mean, you guys deserve a lot.
I'm following along last night on Facebook with it all, and I'm prepared that this would happen.
Y'all deserve a lot more respect.
It's fine. I still do it.
I'm about to go ask them to step outside.
They really should. They might.
Phil, are they ready? After the meeting, we've got to finish this right now, but I'll be happy after. Yeah, we gotta keep moving on, and then we will.
Well, if this ain't a freaking zoo, I don't know what is.
Good.
I'll tell you about that later.
I know. Phil, are they ready?
Yeah.
Y'all ready?
Y'all ready? Are y'all ready? What's your name?
If everybody could please quiet down for the next item. Just.
I'll get it. I got it.
I don't have a, yeah.
Here's one. There's the gavel.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, well, good evening. I just wanted to take a quick minute to introduce myself, and then I'm going to turn it over to these folks. My name is Laura Martin, and I'm a marketing teacher at Forsyth Central High School. I've taught for 9 years, and it's my 3rd year at Forsyth Central. Today, I've brought with me 2 of my finest students, and they have competed in a competition. They're involved in an organization called DECA, which is a professional student organization that's tied to our marketing curriculum. This year, they competed in an event called Sports and Entertainment Operations Research Event. So they took a look at the Cumming Fair. They did a case study of the experience of the customers who come in and out of the fair. And then they analyzed and made some recommendations. They took this project to the state level, they competed with it and won 2nd place in the state. They'll be going on to the international level, which will be in Atlanta at the end of April. So today, the purpose of us being here with you, which thank you so much for letting us be here, is they would like to first just tell them a little bit about themselves, work on their public speaking skills. They would like to share with you their project. It is a 10-minute presentation, and then they are actually looking for feedback from you guys of just have they missed anything, or is there anything that can be added to their project to make it richer when they go to the international level. So I'm going to, at this point, just introduce to you Olivia and Drake Church.
Hi, my name is Drake, and this is my little sister Olivia, and we go to Forsyth Central High School, like my teacher said. I am a senior, and I play football. I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I play football. I wrestle. I ran track. I'm really involved in Boy Scouts. I'm an Eagle Scout. And I just got accepted to Brigham Young University, and so that's the school I plan on attending next year.
Hi, I'm Olivia Church. I am a freshman at Forsyth Central High School. I am a part of DECA and the American Sign Language Club. I am also a dancer at a performing arts school in Milton.
And so just a little bit about our project, and just so you guys aren't kind of confused about what we're doing. We went to state this year, and our goal was to pick a sports venue or an entertainment venue, and we were supposed to talk about the customer experience. They were supposed to research the customer experience there, and we're supposed to talk about how we can make it better. And so we thought, what better place than Cumming, Forsyth County. This is where we live. I've lived here my whole life. She's lived here her whole life. This is all I know. And so we wanted to do something that kind of represented and was from home. And so that's why we decided to do the Cumming Country Fair and Festival. And so kind of how the competition works is we wrote a 21-page manual just about Cumming Fair, the customer experience, theories, and different stuff about how we can improve the customer experience. We sent that in, and we made this board, and we created a presentation. And we placed 2nd in our event, and so now we get to go on to internationals and compete from kids from California, New York, Florida, just everywhere. And hopefully, that's why we're here. We want to get some advice from you guys and try and make our project better, because we don't want to get 2nd place again. We want to get 1st, and not just the state level. We want to be like the best in in the country. So that's kind of why we're here. And so without further ado, I guess we'll start a presentation. And so I want you guys to think back. It's maybe when you guys were little, and you guys were at the fair, or some carnival or something like that.
Call Harrison.
That's hard to think of.
Call Harrison, that's deal.
Do you remember, the sweet, savory, buttery, salty popcorn? Do you remember the funnel cakes and the powdered sugar that was on top? Do you remember the cool autumn air that was was blowing by as you're walking towards your next ride? Do you remember all the bright lights and maybe some clown laughing, or maybe your memories of the fair or carnival was a little bit more negative? Maybe your knees kind of hurt from standing in line for really long. Maybe the food didn't taste that great. Maybe the employees weren't that nice.
Do you want to know some of the things that happened at Central in 1957? I can tell you some of them. That's right.
Well, our goal, today we're going to talk about the Cumming Country Fair and Festival and how we can improve the customer experience there, so people don't have those negative memories. So when people are older and they think back about the fair, they remember, just being with their family and friends and just having a great time.
Now, in a small town in North Georgia is a large and spacious concrete field known as the Cumming Fairgrounds. Now, during different parts of the year, it is the most popular place in Forsyth County. The most popular event held there is the Cumming Country Fair and Festival. This gives people a chance in Forsyth County and surrounding areas to come together and enjoy thrilling rides, shows, entertaining shows, delicious food, and games. Now, we have a total of 32 rides, and
Yeah.
just sorry.
10 daily attractions.
And 10 daily attractions and small shows, such as pageants, wood carving, the chainsaw carving, and the petting zoo for the children and families to enjoy.
Now, a little bit about the Cumming Country Fair and Festival. Right now, it is contracted with James H. Drew Expositions. I think we have 3 more years or something like that left on our contract, and they provide everything. They provide the rides, the employees, they provide the carnival games, tickets, food, they provide everything. But, so we are really dependent on them. However, it's important to know that they are very dependent on us. We are one of their biggest clients. A lot of fairs and festivals, they happen in like on a parking lot, or they're just a random, grass field. Cumming, we have a huge, large area designated for the fair. And so while we are really dependent on them, they are super dependent on us because we are one of their biggest clients. And so a little bit about our research. We made some surveys. They had consisted of 11 questions, and they ranged from like how old are you, how far do you live from the fair, and did you bring like a spouse or maybe a girlfriend, boyfriend to the fair with you? We asked them if they liked the food. We asked them how the employees treated them. We asked them how the rides were. We also asked them just open-ended questions, what they enjoyed most and what could be improved. And so Libby will talk about the problems that we found from our studies.
What was the age, do you think, of the people you surveyed?
Oh yes. So the age of the people that we surveyed were probably teenagers, young adults, and young adults and like older adults. Just because as high schoolers we're kind of limited to who we can survey.
That's great. That's all.
Yeah, okay.
So our 3 main problems are having too many children rides, too long of lines, and the cost of tickets. So we have a total of 32 rides, and only 9 are actually targeted towards adults and teenagers. And the people who are attending the fair are usually from the age of 14 to 30. This is leading for teenagers and adults having to sit in lines from 100 to 200 yards long, and maybe for even an hour for their favorite ride to enjoy. The cost of 1 ticket is $1.25, and for a children's ride, it is about 3 to 4 tickets, and for a more popular ride for teenagers and adults is 5 to 6 tickets. And some people are not willing to pay $1.25 for each ticket.
And so for these 3 problems, we have 3 really simple solutions. One is to renegotiate the contract with James H. Drew Expositions, and we want to phase out 4 of the children rides and bring in 3 more adult rides. And by doing so, it will actually decrease the length of the lines because most of the people who come to the fair are, adults and teenagers, or young adults and teenagers. You have to remember that the fair is happening during the school year, and so when parents come home from school, the last thing that's on their mind is, hey, let's take the kids and let's go to the fair. No, they're like, they want to sit on the couch, they want to take their kids to the fair. It's a school night, and they're not trying to keep their kids up late because they don't want to stay up late. They want to get a good night's sleep. They want their kids to get a good night's sleep. So most people that go to the fair are teenagers and young adults because they have a little bit more wiggle room, a little less responsibilities. And so by bringing in more adult rides, will actually help disperse the lines among
off
the adult
once,
rides, because
about
people will have
halfway
more
through.
options, and so lines will actually be shorter. We'll have, we'll probably bring in more customers, because more rides equals, more excitement. But it'll also help decrease the length of the lines. And then our last solution for our last problem was, like Livy said, the price per ticket is $1.25. And to ride some rides, you're paying like 5 tickets. So that's $6.25 to ride a ride that's maybe 30 seconds long. And you're waiting in line for about an hour, hour and a half. So our proposal is to decrease the ticket price from $1.25 down to $1.15. That's only a 9% decrease. And so our timeline to do this is actually split into 2 phases. Our first phase will start March 1st, which was actually a couple days ago. This was a little more theoretical. And so what we want to do is, in our first phase, we want to renegotiate the contract with James H. Drew Expositions. And we want to, like I said, get rid of 4 children rides and bring in 3 adult rides. And that will, like I said, we want to start that negotiation now for that contract. And we want to bring these rides in for this next upcoming fair. Phase 2 starts next year, and the reason that we're splitting it into 2 phases is so that we could better analyze each change and see how it affects the customer experience. If we throw in all the changes at once, we won't know what had the greatest change. And so phase 2 starts next year, and that's when we'll decrease the ticket price by 10 cents. And so by decreasing the ticket sale, by decreasing the ticket price by 9%, we should expect at least a 9% increase in ticket sales. So it really will just balance out. We'll probably gain more revenue because more people will buy tickets, and if lines are shorter, then more people are going to go through the lines faster, more people are going to spend more tickets, and if people aren't waiting in line as long, they'll have more time to walk around and spend money on carnival games and on food. And just, I won't bore you with finances. They're pretty simple, really. So the rental cost for 3 adult rides is $264,000, which is actually the same price to rent 4 children rides, which $246,000 again. However, the operation cost for 3 adult rides is a little bit more. It's about $14,000 more. It's $155,000 compared to $141,000 for children rides. However, the 3 adult rides actually produce more revenue. The profit gained from 3 adult rides is $1.5 million compared to 4 kid rides, which is only $1.2 million. And I like to note, this is when the rides are in full use. And so we have about 23 children rides, and the children rides are not in full use. The adult rides, they are in full use. They are making maximum profit. But a lot of these children rides don't have lines, or they're not being filled to maximum capacity each time the ride starts. And so that really concludes our presentation. We have, it's really simple. We have 3 problems, 3 simple solutions that can help improve the customer experience while also making money. So we're open to any questions that you guys have.
Yep.
Do you guys know Drew Exposition's inventory, and if they even have extra adult rides that they choose not to bring? And if they do, why do you think they choose not to bring those instead?
That's a great question. I called them, and they were very skeptical. They had no idea who I was.
What is this kid asking me about my inventory?
Yeah, so they weren't very open. A lot of my numbers and research came from smaller contractors and stuff. I think that the reason that they're giving us so many little kid rides compared to adult rides is because they're cheaper, easier to transport, and they don't have to have as many employees. But I know that honestly we are one of their biggest clients, and they probably make the most money off of us. So if we were just to when we renegotiate our contract, just to flex our muscles just a little bit, and be like, maybe we don't want to go with you guys, again. I know they'll bend to you guys. They'll bend, and they'll meet every demand you guys have because, you're the biggest client. So.
We're the second biggest ones he has. The North Georgia at Marietta, he's there longer. He makes more money there than he does here, but we're the second biggest moneymaker for him. And he does a good job.
So, the ticket prices, I assume, are set by your expedition. If you were able to get him to decrease those in price, could that hurt the other solution or the other problem with longer lines? Decreased prices, more people, more tickets, more lines standing.
I mean, it's true. I guess that could happen. I mean, really don't know. I mean, that's kind of why we're breaking up into different phases, just kind of like better analyze everything.
Do you know how we get paid from him?
I'm helping you guys.
That's a good question.
When you have 2 more adult rides, that's gonna decrease lines.
Yeah, it's good decreased lines. So.
Do you know how we get paid from him?
No, I mean, I tried to call people in the city, and they weren't. They couldn't.
No, he's not gonna tell you.
He didn't call me.
Phil.
He didn't call me. You call me tomorrow. You call me. Crystal, you got another card?
Yeah.
Tell him, Lewis.
Yeah. He's not gonna tell you.
Yeah.
The person you needed to talk to in putting this together
Well,
is Dave.
Y'all got any comments, Dave and Tracy? Might help them?
Well, you know, there were several things in there. You're talking about ticket prices. There's 8 of the 11 days that there's ride specials, which is the best thing going. You know, you've got a $25 unlimited ride, a $20 unlimited ride, or you've got some days where there's the first hour's free admission and free rides. You know, so we put enough days in there so that a family can come in, a family of 4 or 6 or 8 or whatever, and have a very valued, while they're there.
But
We're
what about
also,
the
you're talking about numbers of rides, we're landlocked, and he's got probably more big rides than many of the other, companies out there. If we get some more pieces of property, he's already committed to a couple of permanent large rides that would be phenomenal. And they'd have a lot of turnover, so you can have a lot of people go through. One of the things with long lines happens is when we have those specials, that first hour, free admission, free rides, everybody's there. They're getting that, they want free. So you have those lines that will last an hour. Or your student night, it's $15, unlimited rides, free admission. So you got, like you said, an hour wait sometimes at some of the lines, but that's because you're giving them a special, to get in and a good value.
So and there's,
If you kept your ride tickets per, then you probably have lines every day.
We need a resume.
You'd only come to fair once or twice.
Dave,
Yes.
are you saying because of space, we couldn't get the larger ride versus 2
No,
small
you got
rides?
a lot of the large rides in there now, what he's got.
But you
I'm just
couldn't
saying,
put any more?
if you look at where we're at, you don't have any extra room.
And a lot of it has to do with the layout of land. You can't, the footprint that those rides take, a key ride can fit in a smaller footprint, so you have more flexibility. And there are some areas that aren't level, which a small ride could fit in, where a big ride could.
And he mentioned too, the bigger rides, instead of a smaller ride, would be one truck and, a quick setup, take down. Some of the bigger rides, like the pirate ships, I think 2 trucks, I think, has to have a huge crane. The Seattle Wheel is 2 to 3 trucks, and they take more days to put up. They've got to transition from Marietta, that lands on Sunday. They're pulling in on Monday, and then they got Tuesday and Wednesday and a couple hours on Thursday. We open at 4 o'clock. So they've got to be able to make that transition of.
And some of it is from unseen circumstances too, whether it be, a maintenance issue where it can't come and things like that too. So it's-
This is awesome. Y'all did awesome.
Great job.
yep, thank you.
What the tickets were bought for, the kids' rides or the adult rides? Or do you,
Say that again?
are the tickets, is it not all just one ticket?
It's one ticket, but each ride,
Each ride
one may
takes
take
so
2
many
to 3 tickets, some may take 4 to 6.
Oh, I see. So didn't you have numbers that were, the bigger rides were making more money, more revenue?
Yeah. So the bigger rides, adult rides, like those cost more tickets because they're bigger.
More tickets.
Yeah.
Bigger ride on average is 4 tickets to 5, and a kiddie ride is, to the crew.
That was awesome. You guys are here.
Thank you so much for your questions, your comments. It was really exciting. I had him in class a couple years ago when he was younger, and just to see kind of where his brain has gone and his abilities. And then this is his younger sister, so she's got a very bright future as well with us. And so what's going to happen is when they finish with their presentation at the international competition, they're going to turn it over to the judges for questions.
When
And
should it be?
it's going to be April 21st through the 24th in Atlanta. And the judges are going to ask them these questions. And so for them to kind of hear where your brains are, this is helpful, just so that they can be more prepared. And we have been told from years in the past, the teachers have been told that Georgia students typically lack in the financial piece of their project. And so for Drake, it was really important that, we try the best, he tried the best he could to find the numbers. I watched him sit in my classroom and call the contractor and got nowhere. And so he said, so what do you suggest now? And I said, well, we could always look at their competitors and see kind of what their numbers are, because this does seem a little fishy calling up.
I bet these two guys right here will sit down with them for an hour or two and go through.
So
it all
if
with
we
them.
could possibly do that, I think that would just help them to be more prepared. Also, usually the teams that compete in this event, it's sports and entertainment. So it's always sports events, right? So they've already kind of figured out their niche in this competition to go with the entertainment route. And because they were born and raised here and have enjoyed going to the fair, I just think they've got just such a great shot. So they're a little rusty from taking a few weeks off after state, but we're going to get them back in and get them prepared. So we'll contact you guys. The trip is going to run them about $600 each, and they come from the same parents. So for their family, it's about $1,200. And so this obviously is great to get this information. They also are looking for your support, and so they have put together some fundraiser letters. If you are a business owner and would be willing to sponsor them, or an individual that be willing to sponsor them, I can't think of a better family for this to go to invest into our future leaders of our county. So I'm going to pass these around. Olivia has her cards, and she's also going to give you a business card, and they're going to get yours as well. And anybody else that would be willing to meet with them, just to give them any pointers or any tips. So thank you so much for your time.
Tremendous. Anything we can do to help.
Thank you so
Make
much
sure
for
you give us a
having us.
resume when you go to college.
Well, next item on the agenda, the arena expansion proposal. Dave, y'all ready?
Thank you for coming.
What this is, we've got, I know the mayor and council have SPLOST negotiations coming up, and one of the things that has been tossed out as a possible project would be the extension of the arena, which would be on the Talbot Street side. It would go back and extend the roof back anywhere from 100 to 150 feet, and it would give us more seating on the floor, and possibly one side with some more bleachers, and also maybe even a permanent stage where we don't have to put stage up and down. That's very labor intensive, doing that. So we reached out to Hamby & Associates. They were the ones that actually were the architect design on the arena itself, when we first built it back in 2001. And they also were involved in the project at City Park, the new building there. So this is just a kind of an initial study, or proposal for architectural services related to the conceptual design and budget estimating of this project, so that you've got some real numbers to take to, the SPLOST negotiations if you so desire. There's going to be a lot of grading involved because there's a lot of slope back on the backside there. There's also some major infrastructure. I know there's a fire hydrant and some major water line right there that would have to be moved. And then just, of course, the cost of the building itself, and also the grading of the cost of building, and if they put in some bleachers on one side. So this is just to give you guys a cost that's real and not something we just pulled out of our hat and we said, oh, okay, I think it's going to be $2 million. It's something that you can put in is a number for the negotiation on the SPOS, and that if that's so approved, then, you know, you can have bid specs drawn up and put that out for bid and determine who would be the one that would do that. But it would open up a lot of opportunity for the arena because it would expand the length, like I said, for seating. Right now, we're pretty well maxed out on Forsyth Central graduation. We're pulling every inch and every chair we can get in there to work with them. But we can probably add somewhere in the vicinity of 1,500 to 2,000 more chairs on the floor with this expansion.
And it's the same width that we have now.
Well, the width of the arena is 180 foot total, and we're looking at it maybe being a little more slender. You can actually go the full 180 and go back, but I think you'd have to only put bleachers on one side and then have your seating on the floor, so that you still got ingress and egress into the arena for, like, say, rodeo, for a tractor trailer to come in. When your bands are there, some of those guys come in tractor trailers or a huge bus and a trailer. You got to have that room for them to come in and turn around and unload and do some things like that. So, yeah, I think it could be the same, or should be the same width, 180 feet. And,
Right.
We'd go back regarding, if he's going to do a study on that, he's going to figure out whether the 100 foot or 150 foot is what we could get in there.
Right, so what we're looking at is the full width, just the difference if we're going 100 or 150 feet back.
Right, and that's gonna be determined by that bank back there, that slope, because it's gonna be getting pretty deep back there toward Topper.
Right.
Dave, you may know this, or Kevin may be better, but with this, if we SPOS passed and we negotiate this as part of our SPOS after the total number, would this upfront fee be able to reimburse from that? No.
Don't do it to reimburse yourself for previous capital expenditure.
We did the same thing with the pedestrian bridge, you know, Moreland out there, Belly has the,
right,
you know, contract with the city, and they pulled up figures for, you know, in conceptual drawings of the pedestrian bridge. And, that's, you know, to give you guys a good number
And I
that you
agree
can
with
throw
you.
out there, because the numbers he brought in were a lot less than, say, like the Gainesville, you know, the pedestrian bridge that goes to nowhere in Gainesville.
I agree.
It's a beautiful bridge, but they spent a lot of money.
Better to spend a little bit now to know what we need to have.
Sure, well, I mean, that's a safety thing there, I mean. Pedestrian bridge. But, this is the same concept. We're just trying to get you a real number to work with, if that's the direction you want to go.
And it would enable us, to have all the graduations here, if that's what the Board of Ed decided they wanted to do, if we expanded it this size, don't you think?
It could,
Yep.
whether all of them would come.
Right, I mean, it'd be up to working it out with them, but
we can
we'd be
certainly-
big enough to do it.
Certainly accommodate more than just Central.
How many people would that be? How many people would hold this?
Well, right now, we put down for the Central graduation, you have 3,081 seats in the bleachers. That's counting handicap spaces. And then we put on the floor about 2,600 chairs. And this year, we're gonna try to put some bleachers on the end. The first seats, row's not gonna be very good.
How's that
We'll have
5,600
some that go up
seats?
And then be able to create another 200 there.
Well, it's according if the bank, if we can go 150 back's what he's saying. The bank might limit us.
You said
The
add about
embankment
another
is slow.
1,500 seats?
Yeah, somewhere in that percentage.
There's how
What's behind
many?
the bank, that church,
Auburn Street.
Robert Street? Okay.
Nothing's behind us except Auburn Street.
Right.
But it's,
But it was how many seats again on the floor with the addition?
you know, it would depend on what you do with your stage, and if you do an entertainer's lounge on the
Yeah,
back.
what's
of
your
it,
gut feeling,
All of those
Dave?
things. I'm saying you're probably looking at 1,500 and possibly a little more.
And then what do you think another section of seating on one side? We're only gonna be able to put it on one
For that
side.
length,
Say it's 100 feet.
you're probably looking anywhere from 600 to 900 probably in that section. If it's similar to the bleachers we have now, which I
Yeah.
hope it would be, just to match up.
Dave, I'd love your opinion. I've had some people ask me about closing it in. Do you think money would be better served extending it as opposed to closing it in?
I personally don't, but, you know, talked before about closing in and concreting the floor and taking the bleachers out. Well, I mean, that was a $750,000 or, $1 million worth of bleachers when we put them in 2001. I don't know what they cost now. But, they were saying, well, we could do trade shows. Well, you're talking about 2 or 3 major trade shows maybe in a year, and it limits a lot of what you can do. If you wanted to, you can bring a rodeo in on that, something like that, on an indoor building, but you got to bring the dirt in, then you got to haul it out, and 2, when you close a building in like that, I think your acoustics, what you would spend on that building to make it acoustically correct would be a pretty high price. Right now, that building was built for acoustics. I mean, if you've ever been to some of the concerts up there, when it's mixed right, now there's bands that get up there and we've got it set, and then they come in there and go like that and push the volume to the max and make the lights shake. But that building's open. If you notice, there's no gable on the front or back of that building. And there's, the sides don't drop down. If you had that, like, you'd have sound bouncing. First thing we did when we got the okay from the mayor and council in 2000 to build that building, we took them to Marietta to hear George Jones. And they have a 22-foot gable that drops down and a 16-foot sidewall that drops down on the side. And you couldn't understand what George was saying or singing. I mean, just kind of a garbled mix. So that's why we went with an open design, for that.
We can. Yeah, somebody wants to make a motion, or we can put it off.
You were talking about the stage. You're saying something about the entertainer lounge in the back?
Right.
Is that like a green room or something like that?
Yeah, it'd be like a green, we'll have that on the side, but it'd be maybe a thing with a lot of these contracts, they want a shower
Sure.
and different things. Normally they have that at hotels, it's never been a problem. But, that wouldn't take up a lot of space. I mean, you're talking 16-foot wide and then the length of that.
Right.
I mean, it wouldn't even be a
Length of the
180 foot,
stage.
it'd probably, 100 feet maybe at the most. But you'd have a green room and a production room and that's where you can do your meet and greets. It's
Sure.
where they can kick back off the bus.
The backstage passes?
Right, exactly.
Is this the only bid, Dave?
I'm sorry, what?
Was this the only one?
Only bid.
Amby?
Yes. And the only reason, I mean, I asked Paul to bring this is because he's the one that designed that original building. And I think it'd be important. He may not get the bid when they come up, if this is approved and it gets, involved in the splosh. When you go put it out for bids, it's gonna be whoever gets the bid. But he knows what companies he used for that building and how to match it up and to give us a good, a feel for what it might cost to build that building.
With SPOS negotiations looming, the faster the better to come up with a number. If we decide, if we think now, well, we want to pursue this, it's probably best to act tonight and get that ball rolling.
And you don't have to have this for, your splosh.
We're just guessing on a number.
You guys are in building and can maybe
I
come up with.
I build houses, not arenas.
I mean, this, I think, just gives you a pretty solid.
We can put some 2x up there and some shingles.
We don't know what it's gonna cost.
That's what we're doing here, is figuring out what it would cost us to do it.
I'll make a motion, we go proceed with the arena expansion.
Well,
This is getting a bid, this is getting a design and a cost
Right.
estimate for $8,245.
Conceptual drawings and budget.
Right, go forward with it. I'll
Possibility.
make a motion to go forward with it.
I'll vote by raising your right hand. Motion carries 5-0 to proceed with the design. Thanks, Dave.
All right, thank you.
We got to get moving. It's gonna be midnight here.
Item C, Cumming Aquatic Center, security camera upgrade. Lewis says you have 30 seconds.
Quick. Overtime.
not gonna take that long.
Overtime.
Okay, thank you for your
These
time.
attorneys
First of all,
want
I know
to
you
lag
had a
around.
busy
agenda tonight, so I appreciate a few minutes. So this is a budgeted item for 2018, but it's kind of come up sooner than I intended because when I submitted the budget, we had a operational security system, and we currently don't. So we had several cameras that were down, and then in the time between recently, our DVR is broken, and we've lost more cameras. So essentially, we need a security system. So the original system had 16 cameras, so we're wired for 16 cameras, and I'd like to add an additional 8. Primarily in the pool areas, and then a couple more in the parking lot. We only have 2 in the parking lot, and it's not really enough coverage. So I'd like to add a couple more out there, and then just upgrade to an IP system. So we had issues with the system that was initially that was initially installed when the Aquatic Center was built. We had grainy footage, so if we had to see something from, if we had something at the back left of the instructional pool, the best camera angle was the front right. We zoomed in on it, it wasn't the best picture. So, I mean, I think we can do better than that. I think the amount of people that are in the Aquatic Center, I think that's important. We also have a motion sensor system, which sometimes would trigger with motion. So, I mean, we don't have to go back and look at footage often, but it's important that when we do, that we can see what we need to see. So I have, in your package, I've actually just included one quote, and this is what was included in budget last September, October. It's from High Tech Systems. They installed the system we have now, and they maintain it. We have a good working relationship with them. We are currently working on getting additional bids to bring to the council meeting on March 20th, and I won't be able to make that council meeting, so I happily entertain any questions here, but Phil or Jeremy, my assistant manager, someone will be there to present those to you on my behalf. I sit on some committees for GRPA, Georgia Recreation and Parks Association, and we have meetings all day in Griffin until 5:30. So, but basically, I think that's pretty much all. What's that?
Do you know why they're breaking or needing it?
I think it just wasn't a high quality system to start with. That's why the cameras weren't, I think we can do better. I mean, there's been upgrades to security cameras since then, so I think it's just an outdated system.
They're like televisions or phones. Next year they get that much better.
We do have, and I don't know if this is, we're in a corrosive environment in the Aquatic Center, and I will tell you, like, our computers don't last as long as they would in here. So we do encounter that with our electronics as well.
All right. Any questions? She'll be bringing bids to the other, and we can and it's all budgeted.
Yes,
Yep.
it is. Yep.
I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item is recreation and parks, alcohol at the recreation center.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of council meetings ago, we were asked to look into the possibility of what it would entail in adding the provision to allow alcohol during the rentals of our conference rooms up at the recreation center. We've done a lot of research. We've called other recreation departments to see how they deal with it, but quite frankly, I think the biggest measuring stick that we can go by is kind of Lanier Tech, since they're in the county with us, and they've been doing it for a little bit longer than we have. And so we've done a lot of discussion with Jeff Pruitt down there just as far as how they handle alcohol sales, and he's been helpful also in he laughs at us for entering our teenage years with the rental of the facility, because you spend a couple of years trying to figure out how to go, and then everybody figures out where your loopholes are. So he's been helpful with that. But what is in your packet is the room rates. Of course, they are a full service conference center down there. But there's a 3-page, actually, if you count front and back, it's 5 pages of their alcohol, use of alcoholic beverages on campus. And this is their guidelines for allowing alcohol at their venue during a rental. As you can see, there are more hoops to go through. They do not charge an additional fee merely for the allowance of alcohol there, but there are fees passed along to the renter that include the addition of paying for off-duty cops or off-duty security to be there because of the presence of alcohol. And they also, you're required to use a licensed vendor that has licensed pours. You can't just roll a cooler full of beer and sit down and plop there and drink it. You has to be a licensed pourer to do that. In talking with other people around, some people handle that differently. Gainesville only has one provider. If you want to consume alcohol at one of their rentals, you're locked into that one. Other places allow you to use anybody that's got license to pour and can also provide you the licensed server. So I don't know that if we're going to get into this, if I think probably the best of both worlds, if we were looking at providing a shortened list of licensed providers, however, at y'all's discretion, we decided we're going to submit that to bids or whatever we wanted to do. But if we had 2, 3, or 4 that they could choose from, if this comes into being, I think that takes the guesswork of us. The people that don't have that list have to spend a lot of time verifying that this is a licensed provider, verifying that yes, these people have got their license to pour. So I think that might be one thing for us to look into if this is something y'all decide to proceed with, that would kind of take some liability off us and also allow a shorter vetting period on our end for groups that would like to have alcohol at an event. Several other things that I've highlighted on my mind, I have not highlighted on yours, and I don't know if y'all had the time to read this, but the provision of alcohol at a rental is on the renter. He can't put a bar up there and charge Kevin $5 for every time he wants to go get a drink out of it. There's no exchange of tickets, no exchange of monies. The renter is just obligated to the contract he signed with the vendor. Food and non-alcoholic beverages must also be served at any time you have alcohol that is being served at an event. Alcohol must remain in the designated space. In our case, it would be the conference rooms themselves. It would not be allowed out into the lobbies or out into the hallways. One thing that they do is they limit the service of alcohol during any single event to a maximum of a 3-hour length. Your event can last 8 hours, but you're only allowed to serve alcohol during a 3-hour window during that event. The only other thing I really have in looking through all this and the paperwork and the contracts, there are, Cobb County does and Gainesville does. They also have recreation facilities that have rental centers or rental areas in the same facility. They do not allow the service of alcohol while recreation programs are going on. So that's something for us to consider. If we want to, we have no recreational programming going on Friday nights, Saturdays, and Sundays. According to Jeff, that's the primary nights that people that are desiring to have alcohol at events seem to like anyway. So that might balance us out with what could be tricky trying to combine events with alcohol at a building that's got kids and other programming going on.
When do we cut off programming on Fridays?
We are finished with programming. With youth programming, we're finished by 4:30 or 5. We do have an adult fitness program that goes till 7 o'clock, but that is adults. But our youth programming is finished late afternoon.
There's no weekend youth programming?
We have dance classes on Saturday mornings, dance and art classes on Saturday mornings, but by 12 o'clock they are out of there and they're finished. So that would, as far as which direction y'all want to go. And
If you allow alcohol, doesn't the caterer who has the license to deliver the alcohol, don't you also, as the person renting the place, have to take out
they
insurance?
contract with the renter contracts with both the security and the person providing the alcohol.
But do you have to take out insurance? I did at Sexton Hall. We had a dance there and they wanted to serve wine and.
I'll have to
did
check,
things.
I'll have to check with that as far as the insurance on how that is handled with it. I do not know, but I can find that question out.
We had to
for you.
take out insurance plus have a caterer that had a license to serve.
Right.
We would probably require, one of the things we could require would be for the caterer to have the city named as an additional insured on their policy, so that they cover the cost as part of what they do. Or you could take out the liability.
Well, we didn't have that, so that's why
Right,
we had to
right.
take it out.
And if you've got a limited list of
Like approved vendors, a
providers,
list
if
of
you've got a
approved
list of
vendors.
4 or 5 approved vendors, then
They should all have liquor liability policies. And they could
and that may be the way they handle it if they cater an event, that may pick up where they're catering at, but I can't answer that definitively.
And then on the weekdays, what's the youth programming like on an average weekday? Is it
We are on
at
Mondays,
nighttime?
Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. We are there till either 8:30 or 9 o'clock with either the art classes, dance
Something
classes,
going on.
one of the youth programs. I don't count the fitness because that's adults and,
Yeah.
I'm not as concerned.
We're not gonna rent it out after 8:30,
Right.
starting it. Has anybody got any questions?
Greg, I haven't read through all this. Is all this just kind of what you're thinking and how we could do it?
Well,
Just
this was,
generalities?
basically, I was trying to find, if you call 18 different places, they've got 18 different ideas on how to do this, One place does it this way, another does it this way. And so what I was trying to do was just, since they are in county and they're with us, and, I guess, I don't know if they view us as competitors, but, they've kind of got a system set up for doing things that seems to work. I was just trying to outline to y'all what they do, what seems to be good ideas, try and look around corners for potential areas that might be a concern for us, and then basically ask your direction on which way you want me to go next.
Anybody else?
I just think maybe we should take a little time to read this over, maybe get some questions you might come up with. Maybe we come up with parameters. We do get to approve this, of what we want to see. And somebody put it to a vote then.
I say we make it easy, we just don't do it. That's what I say.
Just had a lot of people that like.
Why not do it?
Why not do it? Because there's no reason to do it at the
People-
recreation.
But people might wanna rent it for events that they're gonna.
Well, they can rent it or not rent it, but
But if
we
it's-
don't have alcohol
Yeah,
there.
but it's,
So,
it's
I
an
mean,
option, right?
what?
What's the downside to having alcohol there?
Because we have children and it was built for
But it
that
would be-
type
but
of
it would be
thing.
when the children aren't there.
Yeah, yeah. But on those nights, you'd have to, creep in and creep out with times, you know what I'm talking about?
Right.
And what benefit would we get out of it by having,
There's like weddings and
okay,
political events
All right.
and stuff. I just
yeah,
think we
okay.
can capture some of it.
I just say, you know, I'm against it. Don't mind telling you straight up. Yep, yep.
Anything else for Greg?
It's good work, Rick. Thank you for all that.
Thank you, and, you know, if y'all have any questions, if y'all are interested in one aspect more than the other, and direct me on what I need to work on a little bit further. Like I said, I got to a point where I had a lot of information, I just wasn't sure which way to proceed forward, or sideways, or backwards, so.
I'm sure it's in there, but I kind of stand it, I would see it. Don't you have to have so many police there?
Yes, their standard down there is they require 2 security officers right off the bat if you've got alcohol. Generally speaking, 1 for every 100 people there. So if they go over 200 people, then they're required to add additional security. One
You
thing
could have
that
up
we've
to
got
4
be-
if we were at max capacity.
That's provided by the
Yeah.
Yeah, they're paying for it. Whoever's renting it's gotta pay the off-duty police officers.
The only thing that, and probably, Kevin, from a legal standpoint is, you know, at Lanier Tech, they've got designated entryways and exits. Well, our building wasn't designed to protect against, so, you know, we've got an exit, a fire exit out of each and every room, as well as into our building, in addition to the entrances and exits. So, just trying to figure out the logistics of liability-wise where danger exists for us. So,
Yeah, I think it would be more important to maintain the access, the ingress and egress is gonna be, it's gonna be the main thing, to make sure that we don't restrict so much that suddenly we have a problem there.
right.
But, you know, the ability to leave, you would not want people to be able to leave the facility with alcohol in their hand or anything like that. And it's just gonna be something that's gonna have to be handled through the security personnel, making sure that people don't walk out.
Well, in addition, one thing that I do like about what they've done down there is you have an organization sponsoring any event that could have alcohol. And say the Rotary Club, well, just pick one, wants to have an event, Rotary Club is the sponsor, but the Rotary Club has to designate an individual person to oversee it for them, in addition to your security and everything else. So there are added layers of protection there.
Anything else?
Just in my mind, it wouldn't even be an option if it was kids program.
Right.
Whoever wants to do it's gonna have to call and see when the kids
Yeah.
program.
They're basically Friday night, Saturday, or Sunday.
Exactly, and if they just didn't have something on the weeknight, they could work that out, but otherwise,
Why don't we take
I don't
a
think
look
we'd wanna
and
try
see
to
if,
work it out,
if,
they're not passing each
people
other.
I don't think so either.
we at least know that.
Well, we'd have to set the parameters of what we're wanting to do before we voted.
Okay.
And I'll be glad to work on.
You know what I'm saying? We need to get-
Yeah, but I'm just
If
saying.
we wanna narrow it down to what we're thinking, then we can come up with it in draft form and then make a motion at that point, you know, at another meeting. I mean, is that where we're at, is draft it such that Friday after 5, Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah, no time during programming, how many, officers per 100 or 2 total? Whatever.
1 per 100. That's about, they're on 2 at a minimum.
They went 2 at a minimum, so.
But I mean, if you had
If they
a-
have 100,
got
then
two
it's 2. If they have 200, it's 2. If it's 201, they have 3. They go up
Right.
1 for over, when you get over 200.
But I mean, if you were to have 40 people there, I think that would be to have 2 police officers there for 40 people.
But why would you have to draft the perimeters if you don't even know if we're for it, and who's for it and who's against it?
Well, we can take a straw poll if you want to do that.
Or anything, but what I'm saying is, why do all the paperwork and study it if you're not gonna do it? But if you're planning to do it, then go forward with the studies.
Well, we can just say it now
Okay.
without taking a vote. For or against?
Oh, I'm against it, 100%.
Christopher?
Or
All right. So
I
we'll,
find that you can't rent any
Let's,
place for a wedding.
let's draft it.
I'm saying we'll draft it, then that gives something to go by from that point, and then you can adjust from that. Does that work? Thank you.
So would you like for me to, based on the ideas and concepts from here, basically just not PowerPoint it, but make a recommendation of these are the aspects that I like or I think's good to give y'all a starting point from, no, we don't
Yeah,
like
if you wanna
this,
just get it
like
to,
that.
if you just wanna get it to Phil, and then we can kinda let it
Yeah, put it
go
together.
from there.
Just make some bullets of things that seem good to me, and then y'all can
And then
strike
based
them
on
or
the
add to them or
conversation we've
change
had
them.
tonight too, I mean, you'll be able to know kind of what we were thinking and then.
No youth programming present, you know,
But if
my
so-
only thing is on the security part, you gotta have it, but I don't think saying you have to have two, if you have that small of an event.
And some people do it one for every 100.
Right.
So
I think that part
0
would
to
be
100,
fine.
There's one, 100 to 200, there's two, so.
Right.
Sometimes you can have a shower, you won't even have alcohol, and sure, up to 40 people.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't have to have that.
security if you don't have alcohol.
It's only, they've gotta pay it, yeah.
Right.
And some of them you might need security, but you're not required.
We'll talk about that at another meeting.
Yep,
Thank you.
that's it, thank.
I knew I should have got Drake to make that presentation.
Next on the agenda, Planning and Zoning Impact Fee Study Committee.
Members of the mayor and council, one of the things that we are required, we voted to move forward at the last meeting with an impact fee study. One of the things that if you ultimately adopt an impact fee, you're required to do is to appoint a study committee. Your study committee has to have at least 5 people on it, and those 5 people have to 50% come from the development, building, or land use, that's what I'm looking for, industries. So for example, if you were to have 5 people, you gotta have then at least 3 of them come from the industries of development, building, and or land use. It's not something for you guys to necessarily say, I want this person on the committee tonight or anything like that. But really more informational, it's something to be thinking about, probably in the next couple of meetings. It's something we will want to take action on to go ahead and establish our committee. The committee is advisory only when it comes to the issue of impact fees, but the law does require us to establish this committee, and those are the parameters. You can have 5, you can have 10, you can have however many you want, as long as we meet that 50% requirement from those 3 entities. So would ask that you start thinking about that so we can formalize the committee coming up. But Mr. Mayor, I don't know how you want to handle it, in terms of giving everybody, one person or how you want to do about that.
Well, we can talk about it now and see if we can come up with a consensus.
I think it's probably best if you keep yourself from it, like everything in this issue.
Yes, sir. Right, so I just, because I knew this was coming up, and I don't have 5 names, but of 4 that I could think of people that I knew that were in construction that fits that mold. I mean, we only had to have 3, but I thought of 4 was Ralph Webb, Jason May, Eric Bennett, and Brad Garman. Some of you know some of them,
You
some of you
wouldn't
don't,
want
none of
nothing
them.
that Jason May built, would you?
Well, he's not building anything, he's giving his opinion, and
Yeah, I was gonna say, him or Eric Bennett, I'd be afraid
we
to
don't
lay
have to
down.
sit in on those meetings, they can take as long as they want.
Yeah.
But we don't need to be on it, it needs to be, and it doesn't have to be somebody in that field, as long as we gotta have 3 in that field. Right. And they don't have to be city residents either. 2, well, only one of Jason May's the only one out of that is, so I don't know if you want to think of it and each of you give me a name, or you want to go with this and add another name to make 5.
Yeah, let's think it over. Y'all want to?
That would be fine. You
How
wanna
many do we need? We only need 3, or?
No, we need, that would make 5 if we go with these people we're gonna be giving them they're gonna get information on from the impact fee study, and then this is on their own little group, can come up with their thoughts and recommendations on all that, and then they present that to us. And I don't know if they present that to us in a meeting or just in a report,
The law
or,
is absolutely silent on how
Right.
many times they're supposed to meet, what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to communicate to you.
Yeah.
I would suggest they need to meet at least once as a committee.
Right.
And then have a report that gets delivered to you, but it can be delivered in writing, it can be delivered, but the law
Right.
gives us no guidance on how we're supposed to.
notice we're not having meetings over this or anything. We just gotta put a group of 5 together that,
Do you know if these 5 are interested in doing that?
I've talked to 3 of them. I assume Ralph would do it. And I would assume Catherine would do it as well.
So we'd have to wait anyways, talk with all of them, right?
And I mean, we can vote and move forward, and then if they don't back out, then you just, you come back and add. No, we'd have to come back and add.
You want to go ahead and
That's gotta be done.
and then if they,
Okay.
if they decline, then just add one to get your committee up.
Right. We could just get that done, or we can keep kicking the can down the road. So,
Kevin, do we need to appoint any people? that
anybody
are
good,
not
good with these 5?
oriented to
Just has to be at least.
You good with that?
Okay.
Moving forward, Lewis?
What's that?
I know you're on overtime, but are you
Yeah.
good with that?
Oh, that's
All right.
as long as Eric Bennick don't, build nothing.
Well, I ain't gonna build nothing.
I don't want to stay there wherever Eric is.
So, well,
Make sure you put that in the
Yeah.
record.
Because he ain't right.
Jeff's got that.
Yeah.
Jeff's got that from the minutes.
Yeah, I've got a star.
He ain't right.
He ain't right.
so I have a motion that we appoint Eric Bennett, Brad Garman, Jason May, Ralph Webb, and Catherine Amos to the Impact Fee Study Committee.
So moved.
Second. Please vote by raising your right hand. Passes 4-0. Christopher Light recusing. All right, next thing is request to purchase pickup truck.
Thank you, Mayor. We hired a new building inspector last year. We now have 3 inspectors and 2 trucks. So, and with some of the projects we have coming up, we're going to need to add a vehicle. We did budget for this item for this year. You've got in your packet there 4 bids. The low bid is Chesty Ford, $24,413.18. The high bid up to $28,732. So the 2 Fords, Chevrolet, and the Dodge that were all bid. We're recommending to go with the low bid Chesty Ford for the $24,413.16.
Go ahead and make the motion.
What's that? What's that?
You're a Chevy man, not a Ford.
Oh, yeah.
Chevy's hot.
Any discussion? It's a budgeted item.
I'll make the motion, we go with the Ford.
I see.
Please all vote in favor by raising your right hand. Motion carries 5-0 to purchase the truck.
Thank you.
Next item's F, utilities, request to readopt soil erosion and sediment control ordinance. John Hurd.
Thought we'd watch some TV. So we want to talk about dirt. This is our dirt ordinance, mud ordinance. What we have is an ordinance that was adopted about a year ago, and we just, the EPD read it and found some very minor changes. Look at that. See that? I'm not going to get too close this time, but it's in yellow. It's got a big red arrow pointing to it, and so mainly it's like section references and article references, and that's what we've changed. And the EPD has actually read the ordinance and approved it and sent it back to us and asked us to re-adopt it with the changes. So they're very minor changes.
Any questions or discussion?
How'd it come up?
The EPD actually read the ordinance. Unbelievable. Nobody else wants to read the ordinance.
I'll make a motion, we adopt it with the changes.
Please vote by raising your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Next is request to solicit bids, pickup truck water distribution.
There are, the agenda actually says request to bid. We can do that. However, we did bring all the bids tonight. Which way would you like to go?
I gotta just amend it. Kevin?
I think, yeah, I just amended to have a report on the bids.
Yeah. Do I have a motion to change section F, number 2, request to solicit bids, to request to accept bids? Please vote by raising your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, we had 5 bids. The lowest bid was from Billy Howell Ford in the amount of $25,000. We had bids all the way up. We had Troncalli. They gave us a $29,000 bid, and then we had Andine Chevrolet that gave us no bid. But we recommend going with Billy Howell Ford for this truck in the amount of $25,000.
Make a motion to approve the bid, Billy Howell Ford for $25,000.
Please vote by raising your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Next, item 3, request to purchase GIS software package.
So GIS is our mapping system. If you look there, you'll see we have aerial photography. We also have the water and the sewer lines there. I won't touch the screen. There's also manholes, there's meters, there's valves, there's all types of information about our infrastructure that's underground. And so currently, our staff is not able to access that data like in the field. So we're trying to modernize and go to the next step. And the staff, through this geographical information system program, will be able to access this mapping, and also they'll be able to mark on the screen where the infrastructure is in the wrong place. And it's such a big deal knowing where all that infrastructure is at. So much of it's buried, it's out of sight, out of mind. But when someone's digging out there on the side of the road, we don't like hitting gas lines, those are bad. We don't like it when they hit our water lines or force mains, sewer force mains. So to me, this is a critical step towards modernizing. And the other thing is the flow of data. They're going to see something on the ground, and they have the opportunity to take their pad and circle it and tell the folks in the office how to change the mapping. It would come instantaneously to the staff that are creating the map. So
would it be available to the public?
It could be. This is not quite the type of program that we would make available to the public. We do have the finished product maps like this that are online, so anyone can access those maps. And as we update the map, we of course we would put a new map on the website. That's just one page of probably 50 maps that we have. And
I just didn't know if this was a natural time to get stuff like that with the web designer for the new thing to be online.
The web designer's looked at our website, and he's seen all the maps that we have, and I believe he's going to just incorporate what we have into that. But what we're trying to do is to get the employees the data.
This is a difference than being on the side of the road and they can see it right then.
See it right then. And then when we make an update, it updates that map automatically, and then they can see that the water line, instead of being in the middle of the road, it's on the side of the road, or a valve is in a certain place. Because many times, seconds count when you got 1,500 gallons per minute of water spraying out of a gigantic water line.
That's the most important thing, that everybody knows where them valves are.
It's true. That's true.
Got so many big lines in the ground now.
And it's easy for those to get paved over. And
it'll wash the road away
So
before
all
you
the
get it
employees
on.
have like tablets, and they're gonna be on site, they'll be able to access it right there.
that's what we're
Are
working
they on
on.
like GPS where they'll know exactly where they're at with that tablet?
Right, we
or-
have devices now that are like, they locate the water
Sure,
lines.
yeah.
When they find it, then they can
Click.
get a GIS or GPS point, and then it'll shoot it back into the
Gotcha.
system. So it's a matter of it's just a lot of information that has to be collected and pulled together. And this is going to be one tool that's going to help us to do that more efficiently.
And that's a budgeted item.
Yes, sir, that's
Yeah.
right, Mr. Mayor.
Any discussion? Any questions?
Also, we might note that we had two bids. One was the state contract bid of $11,000. This is a specialized program. It's kind of like going to buy a Microsoft Word. You're really not going to find a better price. But we did find a company that could sell us the software. The difference in the price is really based on the training that comes with the program. So we got a lower price of $8,500, which is below the state contract bid of $11,000.
So it's not coming with, oh wait, it does have the training.
It does. It's just cheaper because this company can do the training cheaper.
And a lot of times you actually get better bids than you can on the state contract. Because those companies are having to pay the state part of what you're paying them for them to be on the state contract price. Second. Please vote by raising your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
And number 4, request to refund developer.
So let me go to the map. This is a drawing of a part of our service area. This is Bethelview Road to the west. Chambly Gap Road runs through the middle of this map. There's a small road named Johnson Road that runs between Kelly Mill and Chambly Gap. So in this case, we had a developer that came in, and they were going to put in an 8-inch line between Chambly Gap and Kelly Mill Road. And we needed, and we're planning to install along Johnson Road a 12-inch line. And because they're in such close proximity, as you can see, it's really just a lot width between the two roads. The street of the subdivision in Johnson Road, we asked that developer to upsize their line from 8 inches to 12 inches to help us with the flow of water through our system, which was part of our master plan. You know, we have a master plan of the whole service area where our engineers have studied flows, fire flows, water pressures, and things like that, and it determined that a 12-inch line was necessary through Chambly Gap Road from Kelly Mill to Bethelview. And so we accomplished this at a cheaper price to the city by just asking this developer to upgrade from an 8 to a 12. And so as you can see in the previous slide, the cost to the city will be $84,585.91.
He didn't make a change order, you requested it, right?
This was not a city contract. This was a developer that was building a line already, so we asked them to upgrade. Now, our city engineer has looked at the pricing, and we have a lot of projects going on right now, so we know how much it costs to install an 8-inch line and a 12-inch line. And so when he looked at our current bids and our current contractors, he said that that was a fair price. And I have that documentation in your package so you can see where civil engineering consultants determined that that's a fair price for the city to pay. We had agreed to this probably 6 months ago to pay the contractor that money once he got the line in the ground.
Any questions or discussion?
No, I'll make a motion that we pay him for the upgrade.
Please vote by raising your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
And item 5, bid results, west side 36-inch water line.
So this is phase 3 of a 36-inch water line that we're running really from the tag office down Triple Gap and over to Belk Shopping Center. It's our hope that if the Mayor and Council allows us to build a water tank, we're going to put a 2 million gallon water tank right there on the side of 400. This 36-inch line is one of our largest lines. It will enable us to push water all the way through town to the demand center, which is really along Highway 20 where we have all the commercial development down 20 going towards Buford. There's a lot of engineering that goes into these types of things, and what we determined is that this is the best path. It's the path of least resistance for us. In addition, we're going to be forced to go down the middle of Talbert Street. We'll have to repave Talbert Street for the project because it's such a large line. This is phase 3. We have one more phase to get it over to Belk, and that's coming up. And then the bid results, That's exciting. The bid results are in your package. Bill? That's it, yeah. So we had 7 bids, and if you look at the bids, they're really close together. You have $4,078,000. You'll look at the next one up, they're about, what, $6,000 apart. Really that speaks to our engineer for really being really good at creating specifications and drawings so the contractor looks, and you can see they're all seeing the same thing. You know, it's not like one saw something and the other one saw something different. They bid so close together. But the low bid is Strickland & Sons Pipeline Incorporated in the amount of $4,078,852.00. And we're working with that contractor currently. They actually did the water line on Bethelview Road, and they've done a good job. There's several projects they've worked on lately. And so we do recommend this group, and we recommend accepting that low bid of the mayor and council agreement.
What, would you come up the middle of the road on Triple Gap?
Yes, sir. We're going up the middle of the road in Triple Gap. That's one of the phases. Is phase 2, actually. It's kind of out of order. The next phase is this one, and it's Talbert Street, and so we're going to have to come up the middle of that street. This is a conveyance line. It's big. It's not like a service line. We've still got service lines on the sides of the road. People tap off of those. But this is one just to push the water to the demand center, and that's why we had to design this and move in this direction.
So when this is under construction, are the road, how are the roads going to be? Are they going to affect the roads? I mean, it's going to affect the traffic and to the school zone. And
Well, wouldn't it be better to do it in the summer when the schools are out?
That's something we could talk about is scheduling, because this one's not been scheduled, but this is just the Talbert Street part of it. This doesn't include Triple Gap.
they estimate how long this will take?
That's a good question. I believe that this one is probably an 8-month to 12-month project. It's not that long. And they'll have traffic control, and they won't take up all the lanes. You know, traffic will still flow through.
Sure.
The road.
So they'll only put it under one lane? Only gonna be putting it under one
That's
lane,
right.
not down the
That's
center?
right. That's right. So
Could they do that section in front of the school at a certain time?
at a certain time, we could probably tell them to do that. Yeah, that's a
That's
different
it.
project than this. That's
This
like
is
phase
just Talbert
2.
Street.
This is phase 3, but we can still, we haven't had the pre-construction meeting for phase 2 with Triple Gap, so we can do that when we meet with them, talk to them about space.
It's a mess through there at school and everything. All lanes, all that, people going straight.
In my house.
And
Well, I'll make a motion to award the bid to Strickland & Sons.
please vote by raising your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council.
Next is item G, liability, property, and casualty insurance agreement.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. How's everybody? Try to keep this as simple and as quick as possible. I know it's getting late, everybody's tired. This is not in the package, though, right?
This is.
It is, okay, all right. I didn't know if you guys had to look at it or not. As you know, I'm Gail Petrie. I work for Apex Insurance. This is Michael White. We're your insurance broker, and it's time to renew your property and casualty insurance for 4/1/2018 to 4/1/2019. There's 2 options that actually 3 options that we have presented tonight. Option number 1 is all of your incumbent carriers. That would include Selective Insurance Company and Nova Casualty on your police and public officials and employment practices liability. If you'll look at option number 1, you'll see at the bottom of the page, and I'm just going to skip to the bottom line numbers and then we'll go back and address any questions you have. You'll see that the expiring premium for your incumbent carriers is $222,527, Annualized with your current exposures, that is actually $244,098. So the renewal premium that's being offered by your incumbent carriers jumped to $289,016. So that's option number one. If you'll turn to the second page of the selective Nova Casualty option, you'll see just in the upper right-hand corner what we've done. Selective this year actually offered an all-lines quote, which means we would take the Nova Casualty out of the police and public
That
officials.
second page is not in the packet.
Okay, all right, let me just say this because I don't know that it would even really matter.
Yeah.
It probably won't matter, because if you do that, if you take the Nova Casualty quotes out and you stick selective in on all lines, you're looking at $281,845, okay? So option one is $289,016. Option two with selective on all lines is $281,845. So what we have done, we marketed this for you, and we are offering an option three for you this year. That is an all lines quote through Travelers. Travelers is an A+ 15 rated carrier. They're as strong as you can get financially. There's some options on this that we feel like are of benefit to the city that I'd like to just point out real briefly. You've got higher limits on your sewer backup coverage. You only had $50,000 last year with selective. That's going to $500,000 per claim this year with Travelers, if you so choose. Your property deductible is dropping from $25,000 to $10,000. We've got higher limits on your police and public officials liability because now they will be dovetailed under your umbrella with Travelers. So the Travelers umbrella is now over all your lines of coverage and not just the GL. And let's see, I think that is it as far as the options and what, and the premium you're looking at with Travelers on all lines is $216,286. So quite a savings for the city. If you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I do have an optional quote with the Travelers package that you don't have now, which is cyber liability. It's a new problem that we're experiencing in our world today with people hacking into our systems and stealing people's private data. This is a coverage that would help the city pay for that should that happen. It's for that option, it's $3,475. There's also defense expense reimbursement. I apologize that $271 isn't in with the total because that's pretty much just a throw in, and I would definitely suggest going with that because that reimburses you if you get a suit that's asking for non-monetary damages.
For $3 grand, that's worth it.
The biggest difference I can tell is the general liability premium, and in that, medical expense is excluded in the Travelers. What is that?
Okay, MedPay is actually a no-fault coverage. It actually just pays up to $5,000 if you're injured. A good example of that, we do have a couple of those losses like at the aquatic center where a child might, cut his foot on something or do something like that. Legally, actually, the city has sovereign immunity for those types of losses, but in the past, you've actually carried a $5,000 MedPay limit. It's kind of a show of good faith on the city's part to just pay nominal claims of that nature. Travelers does not offer MedPay under their GL, but bear in mind it's just $5,000.
That does not impact anything that you're negligent for
Right.
under your third-party general
We had to sue
liability.
them on that building, out there across from the station that worked.
And to give you an idea, I think over the years, the last 5 years, you've paid less than $1,000 out of that policy.
Who's got us now?
Selective and Nova Casualty. Selective has all lines except your police, your public officials, and your employment practices. And Nova Casualty has those three professional lines.
Well, Selective's done a good job for us, whoever's got us now.
They have done a good job. Their rates have just gone up pretty substantially, and we've got a little bit better limits, a little bit better deductibles, and a lot cheaper rates with travelers.
It's 25% difference.
I'm sorry?
You're recommending travelers?
I would, yes. And if you don't mind, I would like to allow Michael to just elaborate a little bit on the amount of business that Travelers writes, because I know that is a new carrier with y'all. You have been selected for quite a while, but I'll let him elaborate a little bit so that you're comfortable going with Travelers, should you decide to do that.
Sure. In essence, Travelers is the largest public entity carrier in the state of Georgia. In the past, because of your loss experience, they were not willing to offer a competitive quotation. Selective was staying within reason every year, year over year. This year, your losses look much, much better. You had some large losses fall off your loss experience. That brings other carriers into play. Travelers Insurance Company insures roughly $50 million of public entity premium in Georgia. That includes cities such as Johns Creek, Doraville, College Park, Statesboro, the list goes on, but it gives you an idea. Selective, to your point, has been very good to you. They did pay a $300,000 claim out last year or the year before, which is one of the reasons your rates went up.
Yeah.
So there, if you're comparing apples to apples, so to speak, you're looking at 289 for your current versus 216. Primary differences are going to be Travelers is reducing your property deductible from $25,000 to $10,000, and the umbrella policy, which is an extra layer of liability, now would go over your law enforcement liability, which is key, your public officials liability, that's you guys, and your employment practices liability. So those are key coverages. To your point, the one loss would be your med pay on your general liability. Again, that's a no-fault coverage from that standpoint.
So you guys are recommending Travelers?
In my opinion, Travelers is the best deal for the city.
Phil, have you had a chance to look at it? Is the staff comfortable with it?
I have had a chance to look at it, and I've talked with Michael and Gail at length about it too. And yeah, we are comfortable with the limits that are in place with Travelers. I mean, one thing that was key to me too in this all was the sewer backup going from 50,000 to 500,000. That's a if you have that happen,
Right.
$50,000 doesn't go a long way. And for that's a big thing in this policy. So.
And let me just explain that sewer backup coverage is a third-party coverage. So this is not like sewer backup into your own building.
Right.
This is if y'all do something wrong and cause a sewer backup in someone's home or a business or something like that.
I'm suing for way more than $50,000.
Travelers. Make a motion to switch to Travelers.
Please vote by raising your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Now, before we keep going on, do we want to add
Oh, and yeah,
the cyber liability?
I believe we should add that as well.
Or is that motion good enough, Kevin?
No, you need to, I think you should specifically include, if you want to include the cyber first, I would do that. And then I would certainly recommend the defense expense reimbursement cost as well. That second one is just so inexpensive. But I would recommend you have an additional quote on those since they were not contained in the 216, 280.
So I have a motion to add cyber first liability and defense expense reimbursement coverage.
Real quick, is that cyber first, that's something a lot of people will do?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Now, when Matthew had the breach, if people were suing over that, it gives you coverage. Or somebody hacks in.
Legally, you have to provide coverage to those people that get hacked. You have to provide identity protection for them for so long, and this would pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's all.
We've got a motion to add both of these.
No, nobody made a motion yet. Just,
I'll second it.
please vote by raising your right hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Can I say one thing just while I have all of y'all here too? By switching to Travelers, one other thing that you're gonna have now is a local loss control engineer.
Yeah, down at
He
what-
actually lives in Cumming and he works for Travelers.
And their
So
office was McFarland, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
their main office is just right down on 400,
Oh.
but he actually physically lives inside the city limits. So you guys were talking about addressing things about liquor liability and, you know, possibly expanding the fairgrounds and what kind of additional activities you might be doing there. He would be more than happy to come over and sit down and address some of those concerns,
Okay.
maybe give you some ideas on risk control and safety.
Yeah, me too.
And that's just all part of the traveler's package, so.
So how would we reach him? Can you,
I can give you,
if you'll send it to Phil?
Absolutely, yeah. I'll give you his contact information and he'll be in touch.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you so much.
Next item, number 2, credit card processing fees. This is, we use, and do you know how many different companies it is, Jeff?
At least probably 4 different ones.
All right, so what we got is credit card. If somebody goes to the water department and they pay their water bill, we have a company called Government Window that's processing their water bill. Well, we get our money, but the issue is they're overcharging our customers. They're charging 4% that the customer has to pay on top of their water bill, okay? Well, they got word that we were gonna shop this thing around, and they contacted and said, well, we can do it for 3.5. Well, I was down getting a building permit at the city of Milton, and they use the same company, and they do it for 3% in Milton. So then the guy calls me today. I've got an email that's in your packet where he's saying he'll drop to 3.5. Well, the guy calls me today, and you know, is a 3.5 good? I'm like, no, you do it for 3 in Milton. What's the? Well, how about if we do it for 3% and but $1.50 minimum charge? And I'm like, if somebody's paying $10 water bill, that's 15%. So we use multiple companies. What I'd like to do is for us to shop and find one company that can handle everything and negotiate a much better price. I know that other, you know, like for South County, they're getting in the 2.5% range. It doesn't affect us, but it will help our citizens.
When you've got as many people, you know, that they're gonna get money off of, they'll go to 2.5, betcha.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I think I can negotiate that down, even if it's with this same company. Like, they're not doing all the business with the city now. We've got different companies that are handling it all. But like I say, our bottom line doesn't change. But this is something that we can do to help our customers.
The only problem is you're not gonna get anybody to do American Express with that small amount, 2.5.
Yeah, and
American
but if you're
Express is
lumping
higher
it,
than any of them.
I know, they're over 4% most of
Yeah.
the time. But if you're lumping it all into one big, see, for them to do that rate, they're taking a risk on. In other words, when somebody pays with a debit card, it's not costing them 2% something, it's costing them a fixed rate, see?
Right.
So they're kind of working out, that's where you let free market play and,
I say you check it out.
you know,
Get the cheapest
so
rate.
if y'all want to, we can go down that road and I'll get bids and
Without a doubt.
try to negotiate something.
I make a motion, we get bids on credit card companies.
Do you want bids or you want me to go out and?
Just let him check it out.
Yeah.
and come up with the best
Negotiate.
deal. You negotiate.
Okay, so just go negotiate it and then bring it back?
You got your agreements with who you got them with, you just want to check and see if there's a better rate, so there's no need to vote until you're ready to make a change.
Okay, all right. Well, I will work on that.
4% crazy.
Number 3, Brandon Herd House. The Sawney Arts, I don't want to screw it up, Sawney Arts Association, is that right? They have approached me and would like to rent the Brandon Herd House for $400 a month, and take over having art shows and classes and that kind of stuff.
I would revise that.
Do what?
I would revise that. I think $400 a month after looking at the utilities
Yeah.
is too cheap.
Well, here's the numbers on the, I'm saying that was what their proposal was. So I was gonna add to that our Georgia Power bill for last year was $6,593.86. The Gas South bill was $496.38. So I mean, you're at $7,000 there. They're under $2,000 under what just the power bill is. And we would be going, you don't know what I don't know, I can't tell you what the maintenance and all that stuff is, but.
Well, I don't know about the maintenance, but I did when I saw the power bill, I thought, that's pretty high. So, we would, first I want you to put it out in the paper for anybody, that just like I feel about this renting the playhouse. Put it out and see if anybody else is interested. But I think we'd offer $1,000. Wouldn't that cover you, those bills?
What happens, what do we do, we just rent it out?
It's rented by event now.
Showers,
You
things.
don't make a whole lot.
Does it get
It doesn't cover the expenses.
Couple times a month. Yeah.
So it would be better to have a full-time tenant, is that what we're saying?
And this group is very responsible. Even though they have classes upstairs, you know, and we'll have a museum downstairs. We were also, because of Troy, what he wants for the downtown, we were also gonna offer you to be open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And since you got the third Friday fixed out, the first, second, and fourth Friday, we would have a coffee house and be open from 6 to 8, so that people could come, have a cup of coffee and look at the artwork.
What's the kitchen like there?
Not much.
Small, very
But we
small.
don't need it. We don't need it. This coffee machine,
Right.
you know.
Another part of what they've offered is, which I really liked, is
Oh, yeah.
we've got a huge concrete wall down at the fairgrounds that faces Castleberry. So what we were looking at is them painting a mural of the city of Cumming, you know, with the fair and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then I've seen a couple other walls that it's not on city property, but I'm sure they might go along with them doing the same thing to kind of give some little murals throughout town.
Is take some of our best artists to make you a design of what we would put up there. And if you agree to it, then
Right.
I'm not one of those best artists. I just paint in the lines. I'll cook.
So.
You want them starving artists?
Do we want to see
So-
if there is anybody else that wants to?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
I think it's only fair.
Clearly
That's
not
it,
a
'cause
lot
I
of
got about
topics,
this
so
other-
it sounds like I have to put a what, ad in the paper?
That'll also.
Well, Phil, let Phil speak on that.
I don't know that we necessarily have to advertise this. It's not under our procurement policy that we would have to bid this out that way. We could put it, you know, we could certainly put it on the city's website if we wanted to, for all interested parties to submit interest, you know.
Proposals.
Yeah, proposals back to us on that.
Well, my meeting with them is the 26th of March, right? Yes. So we would have to go to the whole group to have it okay, you know,
So
because we went up on the price.
So we want to say that we would accept proposals till our work session in April, and then,
Then we bring it to you, what we could do.
well, they would,
Because it's not covered by your procurement policy, if you're just gonna instruct Phil to get the bids, and essentially not gonna take any action on it until April, I'm not worried about
And since we're
how
not
you go about
profit,
doing
we're
that.
really hoping we can get some kind of grant to put in an elevator. Because the steps are really treacherous.
we'll advertise it on the website, and we could advertise it on social media as well.
And I found out that they're
Um,
not on the
yeah.
historic, that one is not on the historic
Don't it,
thing, so we can repair it still.
Right. So, good to go with that?
Yep,
Good to
I'm
Phil,
good.
we don't need them all making a presentation up here.
No, I
No.
mean, just a written proposal.
And these are just so you're aware, you don't have to do this, but just so you're aware, when you're leasing this stuff, this falls under something that you can really dig into if you want to, in an executive session. The lease of property, so you can really dig into it and bring those documents.
Once we got proposals,
Once
you
you get
take that up in
both this
executive
as
to,
well as the playhouse.
right.
And don't forget, with $1,000, we are gonna paint the walls, so that's kind of.
I think we got about 14 miles of walls I've come up with. I don't think we got 14 miles of road.
Let's start with the first one.
All right, so the next item on the agenda is massage parlor ordinance.
We have a massage parlor ordinance in your package for you to take a look at and consider. This would be something that brings us in line with the enforcement that Forsyth County is about to undertake. They have not yet passed this, in my understanding, for massage parlors in the unincorporated areas of the county. It's a comprehensive, and I do mean comprehensive, set of licensing regulations where someone who is going to work at a massage parlor, if they are not a licensed massage therapist by the state of Georgia, they have to go in and be fingerprinted, have a background check done. This is obviously the result of the problems we've had with massage parlors having inappropriate sexual activities going on in the massage parlors that we've experienced probably about the last 12. It's been going on for quite a while, but in the last 12 months, I know we've had a couple of these instances, both in the unincorporated county and in the city. This is not something, it's going to be pretty heavy on enforcement. This is not something that has to be enforced by our police department. We specifically drafted this. The sheriff is the one who wanted us to have a common ordinance with Forsyth County on this to make enforcement easy. We have prepared it so that the chief of police can actually designate the sheriff to be his designee for enforcement of this, and through doing that, then the sheriff's department will take over the enforcement of it. We made it though, so like if someday in the future, the sheriff decides he can't do it anymore, or, you know, our police department's gotten to the point they want to bring it in-house, they can obviously bring it back in-house and do that. There's some pretty significant licensing fees included in this. I did not have the licensing fees at the time that that I had your draft, but the licensing fees I do have now is $250 for the massage establishment fee, and then $25 for the work permit fee. And folks, this goes into the wattage of the bulbs we're supposed to have in the rooms where massages people got at least a 40-watt bulb. So
This is with this county.
yes, and also it restricts the kind of clothing that somebody
Yeah.
can be wearing when they're performing massage.
The sheriff came to me asking me for us to adopt this ordinance, and it is, other than changing some legalese where it interacts it between the city and the sheriff's office, that way, and what they're gonna do is, the county sheriff's office, they're gonna go do the investigations and all that, because they've got more manpower and they've got them working on it in the county as well. And so then, in the issue that they find something, you know, we don't want that kind of stuff in the city.
Sure.
Is it
So-
retroactive? Like the ones, is there any grandfathering, is like, so.
Like on the fees.
Bulb wattage?
No, you've got to have new lights. You'll have to put new lights in. I mean, it's not going to be ex post facto. So I mean, it's not that we're going to be punishing people for things they did in the past.
But we're going to make them.
But going forward, they need
basically
to have their wattage correct, and in their massage rooms and that sort of stuff.
It would take a trip to educate.
Do I?
You didn't seem very, like you like the ordinance, you seem kind of.
Really?
Just seemed kind of down on it.
When was that?
You were like, it's really restricted.
No, I'm saying it's very comprehensive. I am not restricted. I think it's very comprehensive. It's a full scale
It's
regulation.
full.
We're going from absolutely zero regulation. We have no regulation that deals with massage parlors, absolutely whatsoever, to having a very comprehensive ordinance
How
that
many
deals.
massage parlors do we have left?
We only have one that has been a problem, and it was a recurring problem. This would prevent that. This would prevent anyone from opening up a similar establishment in that same location for a specified period of time. Pine Lake Health Club and Spa, like that's what it's called. Something along those lines.
But it's not there anymore.
It's not there.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Any more questions? I have a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Make a motion, we adopt the ordinance for the massage parlors.
Please vote by raising your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. Vape shop ordinance.
This vape shop ordinance is not something for consideration tonight, it's for informational purposes only. What we've given you again, we're trying to help bring some continuity between our enforcement of these things and the county's enforcement of these things. We're gonna be making some changes to this one over the course, probably between now and your meeting in a couple of weeks. Molly and I have already been looking at this ordinance, but the idea is similar. These vape shops, a lot of times they're selling alternative products that could, when combined with scheduled, controlled substances, could be drug paraphernalia. It's not, it doesn't have to be drug paraphernalia, but if you use it with legal drugs, it's going to be drug paraphernalia. And one of the things we're trying to make sure is that these locations that are selling these things, number one, who they're selling it to, restricting that, but more importantly, making sure that they don't have a history of a criminal history for this sort of.
Can we just eliminate those products?
Well, no, I don't think we can just eliminate those. We'll run across the commerce clause if we do that.
Well, we can restrict where they put them.
We can, and there's actually part of that's in that, is like putting them behind the screen.
Like out in front.
When you go in a vape shop, because I quit smoking, those things are prominently right there, and I think they just look like something you'd smoke pot out of, or something you'd smoke cocaine out of, I don't know.
Now, that is something we can address. The location of it can be addressed, so that you have to be over a certain age to go into that section of it. And that's covered in the ordinance. But again, this is just for information.
Yeah, let's just give you something you can kind of read up on and wrap your mind around it, and then we're gonna address it at a later date.
Okay.
So, moving on to number 6 was stricken. Number 7, land bank.
Forsyth County has approached the city of Cumming with regard to possibly getting involved with them in a land bank. The genesis of this is coming out of the Greenleaf development way, way, way up in the northern part of Forsyth County, where the county has property on its tax digest and no one's paying property taxes, and it's just creating lien after lien after lien. A land bank is something the county can do to help move that property off of its tax digest as non-producing, non-revenue producing property, get it cleaned up and get it turned into property where you can generate taxes again on it. The trick is they have to have a city. They cannot do it by
What's in it for
themselves.
us?
Well, if you want to go along with it and you want to do the land bank with the county, you can use, the land bank can be used to clean up areas in the city. Like if there's an area in the city where people have routinely have been paying their taxes and you want to clean that up, it can be used to eliminate blight. It can purchase property, you can sell property, you can buy property, the tax sales, and then again, the idea is to get it back into tax revenue producing property. We haven't seen anything from the county yet on this. What I think would be appropriate is if you have any interest at all in exploring this with the county, that we communicate that to the county, let them know that if they want to start working on an IGA, that it could be sent over for the city to take a look at.
Did they send you a letter over or something?
No, it was a communication with the mayor and then a call with the county attorney. I will tell you, I do have some concern. Land banks can fund themselves in appropriate circumstances. There's the ability for a land bank to operate on what's called a 75% recapture, where for the first 5 years after this property is made tax producing again, like after you've cleaned up the tax problems and people are paying taxes on it, 75% of the tax revenue for the first 5 years will come to the land bank. 25% goes to the government. The concern that I have, and that we would want to make sure that we address for the city's benefit, is you don't have ad valorem taxes. So there is no monetary benefit directly to you by clearing any of this up. And so it's just something to think about. If we go down this road, it would seem to me it would be more appropriate for the county to fund the expenses of this, certainly on the front end, until we get to the point the city has a monetary interest in cleaning this up. Right now, it's just an opportunity to work with the county to help the county clear up the county's problem, and we'll be there as a vehicle for us in the event that we ever have something like this.
So in general, though, they could obligate us, if we just agreed to it, they could obligate us.
Land banks won't be able to obligate you or anything. They can't
The
issue.
county could obligate us for the expenses of, part of the expenses.
Only if you agree to it. It has to be an IGA between the city
I'm
and the
saying,
county.
if we agree to it, it could cost us something.
Yes, if you agree to pay money.
Well, no, I mean,
You pay money.
no, I'm saying, okay, so all that's negotiable. There's no ridiculous.
100% of it is negotiable.
They can't unilaterally obligate us.
No.
to do
No, it's all negotiable.
All this does is enables them to clean their books up, and we're not on the hook, so to speak, for anything.
You thought it was good or bad?
He said, I don't think it would obligate the city in any way to be able to put anything.
Only if you wanted to. That's right. Only if you agree to it.
Did you want it?
Well, he needs it because this property in particular in question had a bunch of problems.
That's where all the fraud was going on.
Guys
That
selling.
subdivision that really didn't
They
exist.
went
that-
to jail, a couple of them.
Yeah.
Yes, the people who were selling the house multiple times that wasn't there went to jail.
Yeah. Got some motion for property in Arizona.
Yes.
But they're still getting back with you on this, the land bank.
Yeah,
Right.
the request that I had was to see if there's any interest at all on the city's part in looking at this. And if there is, I need to communicate that. And then they'll.
Is there a potential benefit? I mean, it sounds like there could be a potential benefit.
Someday, yeah. Not just someday, if we end up in the situation where we had a similar problem, you know, a subdivision that doesn't ever develop, or that we end up with a bunch of properties where there are tax liens just keep piling up time after time after time. A land bank can do that. You know, a land bank can actually do a credit bid at a tax lien sale, go in there and like I said, they can just do a credit bid and then buy the property that way, clean up the liens, foreclose on them, and then sell it to somebody else.
Seen a problem exploring it.
And it's on there.
I don't either.
Okay, I'll communicate that it's something that could possibly work.
All right, number 8, report on solicitor bids.
Yeah, we did advertise for bids on the solicitor services, and we did receive 3 bids. Only 2 of the bids were qualified bids. One was from a
Almost in South Carolina.
yes, and that's really not going to work out for us. The other 2 bids, we had one from Miles Hansford and Talent. Right, and we had the other one from Butler, Logan Butler's office, is the name of it here, Patterson, Moore, and Butler. Both bids were viewed by the municipal court judge. He said both bids look good. As far as which bid to approve, or to ask for approval on, the money is very close on each one. Hansford and Talent, it's $185 for the solicitor. The associates, the assistant solicitors are $185, $170, $165, and $185. And the one for Patterson, Moore, and Butler, the solicitor price is $200 per hour, and then $175 for the assistant solicitor. So that's the report on the bids. So I come to you tonight looking for your guidance on how you want to proceed with this. Do you want to
Are
make
these 4 good? A, B, C, and D?
Yes.
Jennifer Ray, John Gibbs,
Those who are currently.
Yeah, that's who's the assistant solicitors right now.
There's who would be, that's in the bid, they're also the ones currently. And I know
Anybody,
that
another one?
Jennifer and Molly were solicitors with the state, I think. At one point. Jennifer was.
Molly.
We can't.
So are we looking
And
for
Molly was an
another
Well,
intern with the DA.
No, we were just bidding this service out, and what we might want to do is I think what
It's
we
a
might should
bid.
consider is allowing the mayor,
You might be right.
approving the mayor
Yes.
to negotiate these prices, to see which one would be a better deal for the city. That would be my recommendation.
Fear about that though is they both looked up the skirt of the other one. And it seems like one can certainly do anything to get the contract. These were blind bids and they both came up with the best number.
Which are pretty much flip a coin.
Right, except for we've got some major things happening in our population. And one firm set up to have more people in case it ever gets bigger or is big for fear of loading. If he doesn't have anybody to help, he'd have to hire someone. And he have to use. I think it's scares me.
I don't see no good in
It's
I
on
see
there.
it better, I see it better,
This is his bid. He wrote it out like this.
but $200 for that.
This is 200, and if he hired somebody who he certainly has to, he would hire on 175. I don't know, I love Logan, I think he's a great attorney, I just don't see the total benefit of switching.
Anybody else?
Have we been happy with who we have, who's been doing it?
I think we leave you to negotiate.
Whichever way you wanna go.
Do you like
I'm trying to get Kevin down on his pricing.
Kevin's not doing it anymore.
Kevin's associates. Surely there's some wiggle room over there. No offense, Molly.
And I'm not saying any of these attorneys do that, and I know a lot of them, but what, you could make your hourly rate anything, and bill for as many or as little hours, I'm just saying, could manipulate it in a way that a lot longer on something to get.
This is a little awkward because our attorney's in the room.
I mean, you guys, if it makes you feel better, you can discuss this in executive session. It would be officers and personnel.
I mean, what I've got to say, I'm not embarrassed to say. I'm just saying that in looking over the numbers, and I can't tell you the why. I have no idea on caseload or whatever. But in 2015 to 2016, our cost to the solicitor's office jumped $50,000 or $60,000. I'm rounding numbers off here. And then last year it was 1 year was 50, one was 60, and I'm rounding numbers versus the previous years. So there was a jump for whatever reason, but yet the revenues in the cases weren't jumping exponentially. So, well, I don't know that. I'm not saying that, and it's not about making money. You're never going to make money in that. I'm just saying that I don't know if the total caseload was totally different, and you know what I mean? It could be, well, we spent a ton of hours and was losing cases. I don't know. I'm just saying there was a jump in that percentage based on kind of the revenue that was coming in. There's a jump. I can't explain it. It was just an observation.
Well, if you have the time, I think you ought to negotiate.
I have plenty. I don't do anything else.
Mayor, I can't explain that actually, at least part of that. In 2016, the city made a move from 2 nights of court to 3 days of court.
Okay.
And
Was it because caseload went up?
it was a concern of caseload going up. It was a concern of caseload going up, and then whether we were going to be able to continue to operate city court, doing it only at 2 nights and getting out at a reasonable time. And we were getting to the point we weren't getting out until sometimes 11, 12 o'clock at night. Most nights we would be done by 9:30, 10:30 or something like that. The concern was, in addition to just what I just said, was that we were keeping people, sometimes young people, out pretty late. Go into day, added another day, and added an arraignment day, which are typically the longer of the 2 days. So to the extent there was a change in that particular time period, I think it would probably line up with the switch from nighttime court to daytime court. That just happens to have happened in that particular year.
Ms. Cindy, do you have anything you want to add? Anything you want to add? I mean, being over at the court?
And I was just gonna say exactly what Kevin did. We went from nights where we were there one night with Logan until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
On the other side?
And believe me, it was a long night.
No, he was
And we went to days and we're now in court 3 times rather than the 2 that we shortened.
But did the caseload change, or does it
Yes,
just,
the caseload has changed dramatically going to daytime. More people now want a hearing with a prosecutor. They're not willing they're more willing to come to court in the daytime and actually talk to you about $100 citation.
gotcha. So that makes sense,
And I'm telling you,
adding an arraignment day.
it's the
Yeah,
environment
I
today.
got one.
So,
Gotcha.
I don't know, I just kind of feel weird about submitting a blind bid, and both of them getting to see that, and then being able to go back and speak. And I know it would be helpful to get our rates down, but I'm not certain that that would actually be the case. Because you can't put a total number on it, you just don't know what the cases are.
Well, you're an attorney. Do you fudge on your time? Or do you go by your oath and do you operate honestly and ethically?
I mean, if I know somebody's trying to save money, I can maybe not read something for as long and as detailed, but still get it, you know, or I can really.
So why wouldn't you be doing that before?
or I can
That's my
really-
point.
I'm just
Rip
saying,
you
I
off.
can really get into
I did
this.
something.
Rip you off.
One idea that's been floated was negotiating a flat price. I mean, Kevin and I have talked about that, but I'm just saying that is one thing to explore is,
Come up with it. Seems like it.
I think it will be difficult. I mean, you know, all I can say is we're committed to doing this work for the city of Fort Chosen and at the best price we possibly can, and to be as efficient as we possibly can. If that's the way that that's the way it's decided to go, then, you know, we'll watch come up with that number.
Well, I think the outfit that's doing it is doing a good job for us. That's mine.
Don't want them to let it truly negotiate it for us. The blind bid process is set up for a reason.
well, we have lower numbers in the next bid because of negotiations.
I know, and I had to abstain and shouldn't say anything about it. Now that I thought about it.
So what's, is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Do we have a second?
What, did I miss, what are the current rates?
The rates that you are seeing there are your current rates. The biggest change that I'll say that's in our bid is, if you look over on the next page, is the proposal that we will limit the number of people who go, what's under there?
I just put the page with the rates in here because if
I've seen it. It's like, there's a breakdown. As the caseload goes up, they add another attorney.
We'll limit the number of people who go depending on the size of the caseload, so that we don't have too many people down there.
I know, I'm waiting on a second, or if we don't get a second, we'll move on.
And your motion is to have the mayor negotiate.
I guess.
No.
So if we don't, we're still in discussion, right? So
Yep.
if we don't have a second on it, what?
That motion right there, somebody else can make the difference.
before we get involved, to think about it more.
Is this something that has to be decided on tonight?
No.
Your RFP was to have, your RFP that was advertised was to try and have this contract in place by April 1st.
I make a motion that we keep the attorneys that we've got.
We can do that yet.
Hang on, do we have a second to Linda's motion? No, that motion dies. Do we have a motion?
Lewis, now you make
What?
You move that we can keep the people we have,
That we keep the attorneys that we have.
the motion. Basically, it's
based on your
Do
That's
we have a
correct.
second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Please vote by raising your right hand. Motion carries 5-0.
I like negotiations.
Almost the last negotiation of the night. Solid waste and recycling quotes. Yep.
No, I just take it out. I don't fit under this table, great. I have to like bend my knees in.
All right, so I negotiated with the two lowest bids. Red Oak came down, they were $11.95 per month for residential, and then they had I think it was $14.45 on commercial. We had negotiated a price of $11.50 across the board. Everything else remains the same as far as that's straight across the board, offering the two canisters, doing it trash and recycling each week.
They're giving us new canisters?
Yeah, you'll get new. You can refuse it.
I need to make it.
But that was their bid, so they came down, advanced. They did not come back with the same requirements that we bid out, so it's not a apples to apples. They had given a price, but it was based on recycling every other week. Recycling every other week for a lot of people doesn't work. You'll fill the can up in a week, and then you're stuck. So then you're throwing the rest in the trash. So it's my recommendation to go with Red Oak because their bid meets what we ask for in recycling every week.
I got a quick question on it. I just thought about that. Do they charge addition if you have like an additional can, like an oak, like say you've got a big holiday and you got family, they charge additional for that?
No. No. And then, another thing that when we go forward, what I think to recommend is us to send a letter out in case, like Lewis is not going to recycle. To send a letter out, and if you're not going to recycle, why would you want that can stuck in your yard? And then what are you going to do with it? So that send it out where the people can contact us with.
Or you still have to pay the same price?
Yeah, we're still paying the same price. This going with this $11.50 bid saves the city $160,000 a year. Over what we have been doing in the past, and we're adding recycling to the mix. So that $160,000 a year savings goes a long way to help pay for our big trucks that we send out. We got 3 big trucks, 6 employees, dump fees, all that. So it helps us. The rate doesn't go up on the customer. They're getting recycling now at no additional cost, and it's helping us absorb the cost on,
Who was doing it originally?
that was, I'm drawing a blank.
Right now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rakestraw.
yeah, Rakestraw, sorry, I drew a blank.
Did we ask them about,
Their bid was $27.
You're really
So-
good. I hate $27 because we're really good.
So that was the reason the other two were pretty close.
and we asked Red Oak about coming in at 4 in the morning?
Yeah, it's all in the bid. You can't come before 8 a.m.
I'll tell you about rate straws. I've been on city council 48 years and I've never had a complaint on them. That's pretty good. pretty good. Never, no one's ever called me, nothing about their garbage pickup.
About the current people?
Yeah, the current people's got it right now. It can be a nightmare. We tried switching 3 or 4 times, early on the council, and it didn't work. It can be a nightmare. It can be good, I guess.
I know our neighborhoods have plenty to complain about who's doing it now.
Who's doing it now?
I'm talking about current provider.
Rake straw.
Oh, what's the matter?
Oh, they'll skip us a week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The trash cans will sit out there for 2 weeks.
Well, have y'all complained to the water department? You have? What'd they tell you?
We'll get it corrected next time. We promise it won't happen again.
And not to mention their trucks are basically graffiti all over our city.
Yeah.
There's the huge oil on, check out in front of your house.
Yeah.
Big oil, hydraulic fuel, fluid, spots on the streets.
Yeah.
That's in every neighborhood in the city.
There's discussion, these 2 bids, right?
Yeah, the question is what to go with on the bids. We've got 1150, which is lower than what was on the RFP.
The other one can meet the requirements.
Correct, it's not the same requirements as the RFP.
Right.
Well, they don't need to be changing it. They
Right,
need
I
to
mean,
be
we
what
asked
we
for
them for.
recycling for every week, and the final number that I got
Well,
was
that's what
for
we
every
need to
other
do.
week, so it didn't meet the requirements.
And that's 160.
We're saving $160,000 a year, plus we're offering recycling.
I mean, for the price and the savings, so we need to make a motion to go with that?
Yeah, somebody will make a motion to go
Yeah,
with
I mean,
Red Oak.
with those price and the savings, we have to, I say, make a motion that we go with Red Oak Sanitation.
I second.
All vote by raising your right hand. Motion carries 4-0 with Christopher Light recusing. Announcements, there are none. We do have things for executive session.
Pending litigation, Mr. Mayor.
You do?
I promise
Yeah.
this week. I promise.
Thank everyone for
Now,
coming
you
tonight.
get fired as quick as you get hired, let me tell you, bud.
I have a motion that we
Go back
reopen
into session.
regular session. Have a motion by Lewis, second by Linda. All vote. Motion carries 5-0. So,
There's a motion on the opioid
Yep.
resolution and the retention of Brenton Askew.
do I have a,
I'll make a motion that we approve the opioid resolution.
And the hiring of Brenton Askew, so, okay.
motion and a second? All vote by raising your hand. Motion passes 5-0. Do I have a motion that we
I'll make a motion that we
execute the
approve
settlement?
Heron.
The
So,
settlement. Do I have a second?
Second.
All vote by raising your hand. Motion carries 5-0. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
second.
Second. Please vote by raising your right hand. Motion carries 5-0. And we're done.
Hey, they voted